Hi guys, it's Tony Robbins. You're listening to Habits and Hustle. Crush it.
Well, do I have a special treat for you guys listening to Habits and Hustle today. We have one of my favorite stand-up comics, Nikki Glaser. She's hilarious. If you don't know who she is, she's also a podcast host, a radio and television host. She's currently hosting F-Boy on HBO Max. And if that's not enough, you may know her from being one of the main comics who do the Comedy Central roast. She's done Alec Baldwin, I think all of them. And she does it and she crushes it every time. She's absolutely hilarious. And she's on tour now. I just wanted to prelude this episode by mentioning that we do go into topics like mental health, eating disorders, sex, and so much more. I believe these are all important topics to discuss, and she does it in such an authentic way while delivering, of course, her comedy wit. But I do want to make that premise because if it is topics that may be difficult to listen to, I just wanted to let you know. But guys, I would really hang in for this episode because it really is one of my favorites to date. So here it is. Nikki Glaser. Enjoy.
Are we started?
Yeah, we're going. It's fine.
Okay, sweet. I love that. I didn't know what the vibe was if you were like, oh, like, I'm sorry I have not listened to an episode. I just want to be honest with you, but I'm a fan. I don't even know how I discovered you or like how you were recommended to me. I think you came on my radar as a not me, which is what people send me when someone is not me, but they look like me. So people send me not me's all the time because I'll just post like, this isn't me. This is not me, not me. So I started this thing where because I get told I look like people all the time and I do. And you were sent to me as a not me. And I'm like, this bitch is awesome. I'm like,
wow,
she's not me. I wish she were. I mean, I was so flattered. A lot of times they're insulting and yours was like, oh my God, she's so pretty and she's cool. So, and then, and then I saw you were just validated by other cool people that I already liked. So I was like, oh, this chick is legit. So when I was reached out about doing your show, I was like, oh my God, she's so cool. Yes, I can't wait to talk to her.
You don't even understand like how much you just made my day because I kid you not, you are like my top probably one or two favorite female comics. I kid you not. I love you. You have no idea. Like I've watched every special. You are like the queen of roast. You make those roasts good.
You.
When I even got this, opportunity presented to me, I was like, oh my God, there's no way. I mean, I love you. Seriously.
Oh, awesome. I'm so glad it worked out because and I just listened to your TED Talk too, on like 2 times the speed because I was like, oh wait, I want to get through this. And I always listen to everything 2 times the speed because I talk 2 times the speed. So I like getting information way faster. So I just listened to you, your TED Talk and I was so excited to talk to you because it resonated with me so much of that boldness. And I just got a lot from it as you do when you open yourself up to good TED Talks. Great job on that. I'm like, I was so impressed and I learned a lot. And do you still have the Keanu recording?
You know what I do?
Do you have it?
I do. It's like, it's like, back when we had those, answering machines, right? So I had to really hunt down those little tapes that have the voicemail on it or the 5 different voicemails. I didn't even tell the whole story. Like, I don't know even in the TED Talk if I even talked about the fact that my mother was really rude to him. And then when I,
it didn't sound like she was just like, she's not here, hang up.
Right. And then called back again. Exactly. Or like when she said, what are you calling my daughter for? Click. Like,
she probably thought he was some Hollywood riffraff trying to date, she probably had good intentions to wonder, but good thing he's a good person.
Yeah. I think she thought he was a pedophile. Like, I don't think she even knows who Keanu Reeves. I mean, she's just kind of like, why is this?
That. Most powerful Hollywood men are.
Right.
Sorry,
so it's not that far reaching. It's not that far reaching, right?
No. And the laws are different in Canada. They're playing by their own rules. Even if they're not different, they go up there and they convince themselves it's Mexico and they can get away with more. But Keanu, notoriously, not notoriously because it has a negative connotation, but famously a very nice person has been, videoed secretly giving up his seat on a train for like a pregnant woman and then trying to get her number. It was kind of, it was, he's a good person. So that was a good one for you to ask. There's different guys though that would have taken that like little in of like, help me pursue my dream and been like, come up and talk to me about it, so you're absolutely correct. You had a good instinct on that guy.
Yeah. No, exactly. I think that was like part of it, right? Like it was good luck that I just so happened to like the guy, or he was coming in town that just so happened to be like the nicest guy in Hollywood, right? Like,
yeah, you took it as a sign. But a lot of times girls, yes. I want to say girls do think someone is going to be that way and they're not. You can't always get the set. You can't just go by intuition of he seems great. So I don't want to say it like you were smarter than girls that don't, because I always get kind of sensitive when I talk about that of like having this pride that, I haven't been raped. I haven't been because I haven't been raped. I've been had bad things happen with men before, but nothing on the level that I know so many of my friends and most women go through. And I've just been like lucky, and it has nothing to do. I think there used to be a sense of like, I could outrun or I could outsmart. There's something else. I'm more scared of things because I am. I mean, I was gifted. I have the gift of fear for sure. My first word, like multisyllabic word, was dangerous. Like that, I would say dangerous, and just point out things that were possibly going to kill me or my sister. I was obsessed with it. So I'm overly scared, but that doesn't, I think that I've always kind of erroneously thought that is why I haven't been sexually assaulted, because I'm safer than others. And the fact is, that doesn't matter. I'm just been lucky. And you can go by your senses all the time, and you still can end up getting pretty duped.
You know what? And also to that point, usually you get duped by people you actually know that are closest to you a lot of times. That's the part that's kind of screwed up, right? Like it's not usually a stranger danger type of thing. It's usually someone who's like right in your vortex.
Yeah.
And that's what's crazy.
That is really interesting because my first kiss was assault, like pretty much like it came out of nowhere, as most kisses do. They're fumbly, like the guy will just lean in, and we've seen it in, sitcoms of like, whoa, a guy just like throws himself because he's just kind of awkward. But one of my really good friends, I was like very stunted sexually. Like all my friends kissed boys before me. My sister, who's 2 grades younger, did everything sexually before me. She was like my older sister, and she was cooler than me. And I was just so scared of sex and boys. And I don't know where it formed. I think I'm like starting to think something maybe happened before I was like of memory making age, which I'm not even scared to say that, because first of all, I'm not saying it for certain. And part of me is like, oh my God, what if my parents think that I think I was molested? They'll feel so bad. And it's like, well, it's not, I wouldn't blame them. Like this shit it happens all the time, no matter how, stringent you are about who is around your child. These guys work in really weird, mysterious ways. I've just listened to too many podcasts and just know how quickly these images can be captured. And while the parents in the room, like things can happen, touches can happen that are like traumatic to a child that will imprint later on. Because I've always been like secretly like, I'm reluctant to say this, but there's something in me that was always like, I wish I could pin my weirdness with men on something. Like I wish I've had therapists be like, that I've been seeing a while, stop me mid-sentence when I'm talking about something else and go, remind me when you were molested again, and like flipping through their notes. And I've been like, I wasn't. And they're like, are you sure? Like they're going back through, and I go, I think I remember. You want to maybe hypnotize me and put it in somewhere just so I have a scapegoat for why I fear intimacy with men. But it doesn't matter why it is. My point is that my first kiss, I was so scared of boys. My first kiss was really late, and I was like waiting for it to happen. But I trusted this guy that was my friend, and we both confessed that we liked each other. I liked him so much. I had the biggest crush on him ever. He was like out of my league. He was like in the next grade. He was so cute. And I thought we were just friends. He just looked at me as like a comedy buddy. And then he told me he liked me one night when we were watching TV after a football game. And I was like, I like you too. And we're just like awkwardly sitting across the room from each other. And then he just like ran at me. Like, I think he goes, oh, would it be cool if I asked you on a date sometime? And I was like, yeah, sure. And it was like going the speed I wanted it to. I was so scared to kiss someone. So it wasn't going to be tonight. And then he just launched and like attacked me. And then I pushed him off and was like, get off. Like just almost like it was a lot, but I was also like, ugh.
Right.
That wasn't the part that was traumatic for me. The part was he went in the kitchen. He was so embarrassed and so mad at himself and so humiliated that he went in the kitchen, started like opening cabinets. I couldn't really hear what was going on. I was just watching Letterman and just like trying to be like, and I just kept going, it's not a big deal. It's funny. Like, and he's like, I'm such a fucking idiot. And like, I think he was bipolar, you know, like this guy was flying off the handle. And I'm just waiting for him to calm down. I've seen him like freak out like this before, but not like this at me. And it was more at himself. And he was chugging vodka. I didn't know that. He eventually drives me home. He's going 70 miles an hour in like suburbs, like through my neighborhood. I'm terrified. And the whole time he's like, I'm such a fucking idiot, you know, and I don't even know he's drunk. And then when he dropped me off at my front yard, he pulled off before I got out of the car, and I like nearly felt like he nearly ran me over. And I'd never done anything like this, but I remember screaming, fuck you, like into the night, which I was like a mild-mannered girl like that. It had to be a lot to get me to do that. So that was my first like intimate moment with a man. And from there on out, I have always been scared that when I reject a man, they're going to be mad at me and like hate me forever. Or there's going to be some kind of violence. It's like that, that's pretty much rape though. It's like you're just giving in to sex because you're scared. So, and I know that I won't now, like I cannot like be intimate with someone if I get grossed out, because sometimes it happens on a dime. I have like times where I am hooking up with a guy and something happens that's beyond my control. And I just like get grossed out by something they say, or maybe I'm high in a way that's making me think too much. And I'm just like, ugh, like I don't want to be doing
what
this.
What would gross you out? Give me something that like a guy would say.
I guess something like calling my vagina my pinkness or something, like just something poetic or like lame, you know? Or maybe they've already been like annoying me all night and I'm ready to break up with them. And I just kind of am like throwing them one. I felt like I'm like, I got to a point where I felt amorous enough to like start having sex, and then we're in the middle of it and I'm like, I hate this. Like if I ever find myself having a sexual encounter that I am not enjoying, I cannot not stop it. And so I fear even getting into one, because I know that if I betray myself, because I remember I've had to stop guys mid-sex before because I had the thought of like, if I let this happen, even because I know I hate it, I don't want to be doing it. And if I let it continue, I'm like raping myself with him. I'm betraying myself. And so I've had to stop these guys because I couldn't let myself do that to myself, because I didn't like it, just so I could not make this guy feel embarrassed. And it's led to guys feeling really weird and embarrassed, but it's not my fault that I'm creeped out all of a sudden. I didn't choose to want to feel that way, you know? So I have a lot of fears of that moment striking where I have a sudden repulsion and want to run away. And I don't know if that's relatable to anyone, but it's just it's a weird truth I've found about myself regarding sex, because as you probably know, I'm like known as a sex comic, but I'm only known as that because I have so many issues with it. And I've been actively trying to just be. Comedy is honesty. That's what I like about stand-up comedy, is like it's an excuse to be totally honest, and that's what people expect from you. And all the things that I wanted to talk about that I couldn't, all the ways I felt weird, were suddenly validated if I made them funny. And I think that's where I am in life now, is just pure honesty across the board in everything I do. And in terms of like what I was thinking to tell you about as like my habits, I was just saying on my podcast this morning, I don't have habits. And that's the key to like a successful life, is habits. Like I've heard that many times, like I'm missing out on, like, that's what your whole platform, your whole business is based off of habits. I don't have, like, I think we'll find some once we start talking, but I did realize that the one habit I have is I am always honest. I always strive. I never intentionally am dishonest, ever. And if I am, I stop and I go figure out a way to let that person know that I just said I had 4 Zevias today. I really had 5. Like I literally need to be that honest. Like if I try to slightly skew information, I get into a tricky area where, again, I start to feel like I betray myself. And so why am I lying?
Were you like this? Like, so like, there's so much to unpack with what you said.
Sorry
You
about
said,
that. Was my TED Talk.
No, it was great. You did a great job. We're going to put that on YouTube, and you're going to get a lot of, that will go viral for sure.
Oh, God.
I feel like there's so much there. Number one, I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I was going to ask you about that Taylor Swift thing because you mentioned her, but we'll talk about
that's
that
all
later.
part of this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all. But like, first of all, even when you said this whole, your whole soliloquy, it was so funny in your like, in your tragedy or in like your awkwardness. Like, have you always had that, like even as a kid? Because I know that, you started comedy when you were in college, right? Like when you were 18.
Yeah.
You were like, but were you really funny as a kid? Were you always able to kind of express yourself like this?
Yeah, no, I wasn't able to express myself at all really as a kid. I mean, that's not true. With my friends who were the funniest people I've ever known, I felt really like seen and like I could be very honest. That is why I feel so betrayed by my best girlfriends, because I didn't start masturbating until very late in life because I just didn't know about it. I truly didn't know about female masturbation. No one told me. And all my friends were doing it. And I go, if I was doing that, I would have told you guys about it. I would have been like, listen, but they were all doing it and none of us talked about it. And that made me like really question my friendships because I was like, I couldn't believe we all were doing this thing that we didn't talk about, but it was, that
there was shame around there. That's why there's a lot of shame around it.
There was so much. I had so much shame around sex, but even now before, like now I don't. Now I'm like very proud of myself to be able to have sex. Like I'll get into that in a second. But to answer your question about I always loved comedy, but I was always very dark. The thing is, I was always honest. I was always able to really like capture an honest moment and like cut through the bullshit around family members and say something that would just make everything awkward because I was calling out what I was seeing. And I learned early to not do that and to find shifty ways. That's what comedy does, is find shifty ways of pointing out the just truth. Because sometimes it's hard to swallow. But I remember always getting reactions of like, why would you say that? And I'm like, because it's true. And they're just like, it's so gross though. Or it's so, like getting a lot of shame for the way I thought because it was very dark. And then I was able to turn that. That's pretty much comedy. It's just like being dark and being, it's just honesty. So I think I was always able to be honest.
It's also observational. Like the best comics are the ones who can like point out something that is so true in life, right? And then like make it funny.
You haven't seen yet. And all of a sudden you go, whoa, that's undeniably true. And I never thought of it. It was like a thing. That's the best. That's the goal of doing comedy. And so when I kind of understood that and it kind of synced up with this point in my life where I just have a real mission to never lie again the rest of my life for any reason ever. And that fits perfectly with my career because that's all I need to do as a comedian. I literally will be fine. I could be not funny. I could lose everything. And as long as I'm able to keep telling the truth in ways that people cannot for some reason, I'll always be fine. And all I have to do is just say what I'm thinking all the time. And sometimes it gets you in trouble, but I'm not a bad person. So if I say something stupid that gets me in trouble, I reason that if I get canceled for saying something outrageous, it's I know at least I thought it was true. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize and make sure everyone knows I was wrong. And 3, I'm not ever trying to cause anyone harm. So if I do, I'll apologize. And if I accidentally cause harm, it was a fucking accident and I'll be okay. But I'm really at this point in my life where it's so nice. All I have to just do is be honest. And that's all I have to show up and do. Ever.
Well, it's funny because I feel like you said something also. There's so many, I got to make notes here because you're saying so many things that I have notes here. Is that your first Zevia or whatever?
No, this is like my 4th of the day.
Oh my God.
I'm addicted to these for sure. I know. It's terrible, but it's the least of all my things. But I just want to even say, when I really mean like, it's all I have to do. It's really all I have to do. When I showed up here for this interview, I did not need to tell you that I haven't listened to your show. But it doesn't serve me to pretend I have, like it's probably common podcast courtesy as a guest. I've done it before where I pretend that I know their work and I'm familiar. The truth is, it's okay that I don't know your work. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person or that I'm busy, you're busy. I would totally be understanding if you knew all my work and I was on your show. I'm not a bad person because I don't know your work. In fact,
no.
You know what I mean? And so admitting that to you, and sometimes I'm on stage recently and I've gone into an area where my joke is like, the idea I had for a joke sucks. No one's buying it, nothing funny, and it's flat, and all these people are excited to see me. They pay to go to the show, and I'm bombing. I've just started going, just saying exactly what's honest in that moment. I'm like, that joke was terrible, which is always an out because you're cutting the tension because you're acknowledging what the audience feels. That's always an easy out for comics. But I literally said to a crowd the other day, and I go, I know that you expected more from me. You saw me on YouTube. You saw my roast compilations. You literally thought something was different. I'm up here talking about molestation, and it's not even like funny. It honestly feels like an off-brand TED Talk. Like, it's not even like, I just call out what is happening. I'm like, this guy hates me. Like, I don't even have to be funny about it. When you call out true things that normally the most true thing, you can't lose. And that's what roast jokes are. It's just like, what's the most true thing about this person that no one would ever say? And then it's easy.
But it's cringy. Like, I just think you're so good at it too. And I feel like, how do you do it? How do you like stand up there, say something about all these people, like Martha Stewart, everybody?
How did you ask Keanu? Like, it's that thing that it didn't occur to me not to.
Right, but the difference is
you're saying chip in my head that you don't have, that most people don't have, that goes, don't say that in front of this person. That's a weird thing, and it never occurred to me. It never occurred to me. The first roast I did, I was on the red carpet beforehand, and they go, "What do you feel about saying these jokes in front of Rob Lowe and whoever else was on that?" They were saying all the celebrities' names, and I was like, I legit haven't even thought about how they feel or how these will make, like, I struggled with empathy until a couple of years ago anyway, but especially with this, you have to suspend it until the moment, because if you even consider their feelings, which of course I realize I did subconsciously, if you sign up for this roast, it is a tacit, kind of, not even tacit, you signed a agreement that you're down to have anything said about you, and you can walk off stage and stuff, but I just feel like it's a safe space to do that. They're signing up for it. They're asking for it. I'm not someone who's going to roast you in the front row. And people are like, I don't want to sit in the front row of your show. I was like, I would never say a bad thing about you unless you said something bad to me. Or like, I don't like to tear people down that aren't asking for it, literally, or just by, their behavior. And even then I don't like to do it, because usually when someone's heckling me, they're drunk. And I have so much compassion for anyone who's an addict or is behaving belligerently because of not even alcohol, anger, something going on at home. Like, when I get heckled now, I have too much. I'm like, I hope you find a 12-step program. I get kind of like funny about how serious I get. I go, I hope this is a bottom for you. Like, your friends are embarrassed right now. They're not going to tell you that, but I'm just telling you, like, this isn't a good look. I hope you don't have to hit a deeper bottom than blacking out at my show and yelling belligerent things at me and not really making sense. But this is a bad look, and this should be, I've been there, and you have to hit the bottom. This should be yours. Don't let it get worse than this, please. And then she's screaming as she gets pulled out. But I generally, I'm trying to have compassion.
But that's different. I mean, like, when you have these people in front, like when you get up there and you have like all these people and you say things that are like so like true, but so mean at the same time. Has it ever backfired at the end? Like, has anyone like left the stage with you in the,
No.
backstage? It's like, you're such an,
to do jokes about Caitlyn Jenner that I found out if she found out the jokes about her were kind of circulating, because I was trying them around town. I don't know if she heard it was from me, but I was doing jokes about her car crash, and they were the best jokes of my set, to be honest with you. And I killed that set, but these jokes were great. I did them on Howard Stern. I forget them now, but I was able to use them later. But she had made it very clear when she heard rumors of those jokes that she will walk off stage if they are told. And it was no brainer. I was like, okay, yeah, I take them out. Like, I don't need to hurt someone. That means I just am going to build up the other ones. Okay, we got to get back to work. Let's beat those ones. Let's get better jokes. And, but then I remember after one of the roasts, I think it was the first one I did, Sybil Shepherd. It was Bruce Willis. No, Sybil Shepherd. I felt really bad after that, because I was calling her like fat and old and like, the thing is, she's not fat and old. She's like beautiful. And I felt weird after that. She was so lovely and didn't care at all. She was like, oh my God, because I was like, that did not feel good. Because that was still when I was learning. Even the last roast I did, I think I would have after what I've been through COVID and how I've changed as a person into someone who really is just trying to do good in the world, but also will still do roasts and stuff. I think I would have not done some of those jokes. I can look back on jokes and be like, that was a cheap shot, or no one needs more fat jokes in the world. And sometimes someone does need a fat joke, like, but I wouldn't have gone so hard on Sybil. I would have gone harder on Martha based on my interactions with both of them. Martha, maybe I could have called her out more for being kind of cold and, just probably, I think I said something about like, you were my mom's favorite growing up. You taught her about organization and cooking and yes. Oh God, withholding affection.
Yes.
And that joke, that was just true. Like my mom wasn't great with affection, not because of Martha Stewart, but because of probably the same cocktail that made Martha Stewart probably not great with affection with her daughter. I was kind of representing daughters of very just like more emotionally cold women, but not because they're moms, bad people, but because they had cold moms.
See, but it's funny that you bring up Martha Stewart, because like I feel like that's tame compared to the other things that you've said about so many other people.
Oh yeah, her jokes were tame, and that joke was tame. But I'm trying to think of. Can you think of a joke that you're like, oh my God, I could never say that to that person of mine, because I literally can't. I'm like, I would do them all.
There's like every joke
that he should kill himself. I said Alec Baldwin, like you were suicidal, you struggled with thoughts of suicide, and I've had thoughts of your suicide as well. Something like that. I phrase it. No, because I knew he had a good sense of humor, and also me doing that joke is not going to get him to kill him. I mean, maybe that would be the thing. And then I would feel terrible. What if he was like on the verge of it anyway? He did not seem to be in that state of mind. So I didn't feel bad. I'm trying to think of, I think I made fun of his wife.
Hillary.
All I said, Hilaria. Oh yeah. I go Hilaria because they told me it was pronounced Hilaria. I tried to get it right. Tried to like honor the heritage.
Isn't that how you pronounce
doesn't
it?
have.
Yeah.
But I honestly thought like, is it, so I said Hilaria and I go, how does it pronounce it? Cause he said Ilaria and I go, what? And he goes, Ilaria. And I go, that's so stupid. And I didn't even, this was before that all came out. I was just like, that name is confusing. And I just on the spot said that, but like, I felt a little bit weird about talking about his wife because she wasn't there. But all I ended up saying was that she was like, I said, just getting screamed at burn calories because she's like so skinny. And so like calling skinny is not that bad. I'm trying to think of other things I might have said. It never has felt awkward afterwards, except with Sybil. And that only felt bad because I loved her so much. And there was just jokes that maybe would have bummed me out. But, I get really sad after these. Like, I've gone on record to say that Blake Griffin's jokes about me looking like Larry Bird and not passing for 34 because stuff like that hurt my feelings and made me feel like, oh my God, like this sneaking suspicion I have that I look so old, so much older than I am, or like I'm ugly. Like my biggest fear in life is being ugly, or it used to be. And that got validated in that moment because no one will tell you you're ugly. I know that. I don't tell people they're ugly if I think they're ugly, but some people are ugly, but I would never tell them. They don't get told, maybe. They don't get told they're pretty, but does that a way to know? So maybe I'm ugly and this is how I find out. And
you don't really think you're ugly though in real life, right? I mean,
there are times where I think I'm like the hottest girl that's ever walked the face of the earth. Like Schumer used to have a joke about that of like, do you ever just look in the mirror and you're just like, oh my God, like I'm a model. I'm like,
yeah, I remember that joke
all the time. And then there's the flip side of that where I don't have it so much anymore. It's not that I don't see myself as I used to. Like, I don't think I ever really had body dysmorphia in terms of like what I was seeing. People would say, oh, I had anorexia, and people would say, you don't see what we see. And I go, no, I do. I'm humiliated by it. And my life is hell walking. Like, I know what you're all seeing. I don't want to look. This isn't a vanity project. I cannot eat and I don't know what's going on. But I feel like now with the work I've done on myself in the past year in regards to food, exercise, body image, I mean, I'm in the best place I've ever been. And when I have those days where I see I don't look good, I don't lie to myself and go, no, you're amazing. Like, I don't like this false body positive stuff of like, you're always beautiful no matter what. Like, sometimes I look like legit hell. Like like I've been studying chimpanzees in the forest for months. Like I look Jane Goodall at the end of a fucking dissertation she's working on. Like I look so awful sometimes. And that, but now when I see that in the mirror or I see the truth, see those moments, I just laugh. I go, oh my God, you look like a legit dude right now, Nikki. Like you look like a surfer guy that if you saw him on Raya, you might swipe right. Like you look like kind of, there are times when my biggest fear would be looking like a dude in the past. Like that's the one that got me is they said that I look like Owen Wilson and Larry Bird.
Yeah.
And those were the ones that were like, how terrible to look like a man. I'm like, actually, I do look like a man sometimes. It's fine. And it's funny to me now. Like I laugh and like kind of lean into it. Or if I have a day where my pants don't fit and I'm definitely gained weight and my arm looks like the way that I've never wanted my arm to look like, sometimes these things are what your body does. And I just forgive myself in that moment and know that it can change if I want it to, but that right now, this is like what I'm supposed to be. It was always meant to be this way. Accept it, laugh about like, I did eat too much last week. It's showing up. That's hilarious. I needed that food to hold my hand through the emotions I was going through last week. And everything will balance out. And that attitude of looking in the mirror and not going, ugh, fuck, and changing it to, look at you. You look like a legit yoga instructor named Jesper. Like having that, like just laughing about it and leaning into it and not being so mean to myself, which was always just this thing people told you to do. Be nice to yourself, treat yourself like you would your friend. How do you implement that? I did not know until recently. And I know how I found it, but it's been a long road to that. I'm so fucking great. I hope it doesn't go away, but this kind of body acceptance that I've heard women talk about my whole life, which I never really believed could happen. Like you could truly love yourself in any way. That being I would just want to say, I'm still 37. I'm young, 37. My clothes are the size I want them to be. I'm the size I want to be. And I'm happy with myself. That doesn't mean that I know that if something happens to me and my body takes on a different shape out of my will, or because I do something that I might not change this perspective, but I feel like since feeling this way about myself, I've seen myself have those moments of the pure disgust, because those moments where you hate your body so much can happen when you're your thinnest and and let's just talk about thin being the goal but it's not. But like for my diseased brain, those moments where I hated my body the most happened when I was arguably the sveltest I've ever been and like supermodel-esque body looking. And they've also happened at those other times. So it doesn't really matter what size I am. I can always go to that place for myself. And I hope now that the things I do to stay out of those just like sinkholes of despair. Because once I dip my toe in that, I'm stuck. And then it goes out of control. And I don't know that it all relates to the fact that I saw my cellulite in the floor mirror when I was looking at shoes at Target and saw that my cellulite on my thigh was a lot worse than I knew leaving the house. And now I'm mad for 5 aisles. That happened to me the other day. I saw my cellulite and I was like, yikes, these pants are too short. I did the thing where I laughed, but a couple aisles later, I was like, suddenly like I was just pissed. I was like mad at my roommate about something that wasn't even going on. I'm just like in a bad mood. I'm like, you were so happy when you went, what just happened? And I go, oh,
you
my
have a
God,
roommate?
the cellulite. Yeah. I have a roommate.
Now?
Yeah. Because I love making my life as good as possible. I hate living alone. I lived with my parents during COVID and realized that like I went home for COVID because I like being around people. I can't live alone if I'm not out every night, like meeting people. Like comedy, when I'm doing comedy every night, I can live alone because I'm never home. I'm out all day doing podcasts. But when COVID hit, I went instantly to people where I could live. I didn't have a husband or roommates or friends that could live with me. And so when I was
with you,
so I had to move out of my parents' house because it was just a bad look. I could have stayed there forever. I liked it. But I wanted to stay in St. Louis. And so I got an apartment here and I asked my best friend from New York, who's my opener on the road. His name's Andrew. We're just two straight platonic best friends, living together. And he's like my brother / cousin. Like he's my best friend. And yeah, I got him to move with me. We have a podcast together, the Nikki Glaser podcast that we do every day, Monday through Thursday. And yeah, I'm really advocating people getting roommates, even if you don't financially need to do it, because humans are social creatures.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I need to be accountable.
For that human connection.
And I need to be accountable. Like I will, if I start doing weird things with food or.
Well, tell me about that.
Yeah, like my food. So
you're actually still struggling. You're still struggling with it, and you have good not this moment, but you have good days and bad days.
No, not really anymore, because I have I over COVID, I hit a bottom with my eating disorder, which I had managed for so long. Like it went from I got it when I was 17. I got anorexia. I did not know what to do. I just stopped eating. And so I quickly was hospitalized. I just didn't know what I was doing. Then I learned about nutrition and I learned how to cheat the system and present as a normal eater.
But what are you doing?
But I mean, I went through every stage from the past 18 years, because I'm 36. So I've had an eating disorder for 18 years now. Had disordered eating. And probably before that, I went from anorexia to just intermittent fasting, pretty much, where you just eat once, binging essentially is what that is. And then I started drinking, which made me binge and drink and eat. Then I gained weight. Then I started bulimia. I started getting mouth acne every time I would even think about throwing up, I was too vain. So I quit throwing up. Then I switched to just drinking and not eating. Then it was just always a diet, always a new thing. Then intermittent fasting came out, was very popular maybe 5 years ago. And in the past 5 years, it's for 4 years up until over a year and a few months ago, I was eating for one stretch of the day from if I could help it. I mean, but I could help it. I would cancel breakfast. I would just lie. And I could say I was intermittent fasting because everyone knows about that and it's acceptable. It's a fun way for me to have anorexia now because it's a new diet that everyone's doing.
Right.
And so I would starve all day, live off of lattes, and maybe eat something if I felt low blood sugar, because I've fainted before on stage. And that's when something starts to affect my career, that's when I'm I should start eating, not when it's my hair's falling out and I have no libido and my skin's dry. It's when it's oh my God, I almost passed out in the middle of a dick joke. I've really got to look at things. So I learned how to just manage it so that I had enough energy to get through the day.
I don't mean to laugh. It's just you're so hilarious.
It's
the way we even talk about this, it's
it's because it's funny. It's crazy what your mind's capable of and what you think are good ideas and how you have. I mean, I think I have it all figured out now. So probably cut to 10 years from now, and I'll be talking about what my ideas of this were. But at the time, it was the only, I had drinking, I had pot, I had food, but food was my numero uno, would never give that up for anything. I love food. First of all, you don't have to give it up because you have to eat. So I just never was ready to look at that. And I wasn't getting my period towards the end. I would start eating dinner at after my last set. I would do a set, then I would go upstairs to the Comedy Cellar and I would order all the salads on the menu, just tons of baba ganoush, hummus, all health. I'd binge on healthy foods. And then I would go home and I would get in bed and I would eat between 7 to 11 protein bars throughout the night. I would eat probably 4 before I finally fell asleep. Then I would get up in the middle of the night, grab one on the way to the bathroom, eat one on the toilet, just put it in my face, but also not really going over my calorie limit, still keeping it contained where it was I have a fast metabolism anyway. And then the next day I would starve all day. And then maybe I'd go for a run where I burned at least 500 calories. So I could maybe make up for the fact that I ate 11 bars instead of 7 that night. But I had it, 7's always safe. If there was 11, then I would have to work out. It's I lived in constant, all I looked forward to was my bed bars. all it and my gummy
what kind
bears.
of protein bar? Like what?
I
I
was
mean, that's a
eating-
lot of calories anyway. Each bar.
No,
And
they
it's
were
like,
140 calories a piece. I know, but I would eat
Which
like,
bar?
I don't even want to say it because I don't want like girls to get anorexic
Okay.
ideas.
Okay,
I know,
good.
like,
Don't say it.
it's just not
Because there's such a
I had it
thing.
figured out. I was skinny. Like
You were
I
really
do know,
skinny.
You could read my when I've come out with an anorexia memoir, girls will take notes and they'll use them because I did the same fucking thing with anorexia memoirs. They never helped me. So I'm always reluctant to give out details, but it was an ugly, sad life. And guess what? I'm a better weight. I like myself more now, not having that lifestyle. And I don't have to do any of that anymore. And I'm not only thinking about food every second of the day. Or, I mean, when I finally gave that up, I cried like I lost a lover, like someone died. Because for me to make
What
an
was the turning
agreement,
point? Like, what was the turning
COVID.
point?
It was laying in bed in the morning in my childhood bed and realizing that I didn't have a boyfriend in my life or like a household because. First of all, I'm always on the road. I don't really ever settle down. And the reason I haven't settled down is because I have a raging eating disorder. I can't bring in anyone in my bed because I'm not going to have a husband if you're rappers in my bed. I want actual rap artists in my bed. I don't want these like literal protein bars rappers. Like I was too many secrets to let anyone in. And I was like, I got to fucking deal with this. If I want a husband, this cannot happen. I have a lot of other things that I'll let someone see. No one deserves to be living with someone who is treating themselves like this. And so I just did what I went to a place. I went to get help to the place where I'd seen other people get help and knew that was a place I could go eventually. And I just got the help I needed. And really what I found there was that I wasn't different than everyone. That I had always thought that I had to eat less because for some reason, for me to be skinny and for me to be the weight that, boys want me to be, that world wants me to be, I have to do less because I'm fucked up in some way that I can't eat a normal amount. I can't eat 3 meals a day. I will never be someone who eats breakfast. And I had to just try. I had to just go trust that I just had to learn I had to be forced to feed myself and just turn it over in a way that was like, I'm feeding a pet. Like it's not up to me what I eat. It's up to, I have a plan. And my plan is you don't get to eat in bed anymore. You say goodbye to any food in bed the rest of your life. If you want the best life for yourself, could you say never eat in bed again? And that's a pretty good life. I'd be like, I was looking at my life and I go, if I never ate in bed again, that's a life I would wish on my niece. Like you don't need to eat in bed for a happy life. I'm not sacrificing anything. So,
Right.
Okay, that's my rule for my life. I'm good at rules. I quit drinking. I really learned to just.
These are habits, by the way. You said you don't have any habits. These are habits. These are like non-negotiables that you've made for yourself.
Yeah.
That you would not break, which is not eating in bed.
Eating 3 meals a day. Or at least never skipping a meal and never starving myself for the purpose of losing weight. So anytime, and listen, it's not perfect because sometimes I get off on the feeling of feeling a little deprived. It like gets me high, like getting high would, like a drug. Right. It gives me that adrenaline and makes me feel like social and like get energy from not having, it's weird. So I got to keep an eye on it, but I know that I don't get to fuck with that shit anymore. I don't get to have, I feed myself like a zoo animal, a human zoo animal. There is a plan there. You do not get less. Sometimes you need more because you're going through something emotionally. So maybe you're going to indulge, but maybe the next day you're not, if you indulge tonight, like, cause sometimes, and I don't eat until I'm to the point of like wanting to throw up, which was like all I ever used to eat. I never knew the feeling of eating and not wanting to puke at the end of it. Right. And like going to bed, like, oh, my stomach. So now I do eat sometimes to the point where I'm like uncomfortably full and everything in me wants to the next day go, oh my God, you gotta work out tomorrow. You have to eat less tomorrow. And I just go, we'll see. If your body wants to eat less tomorrow, it will. Like maybe it'll like not need as much tomorrow. And guess what? Most of the time it doesn't. Like it balances out. Like but you know what? Maybe tomorrow I want to eat just as much as I needed tonight because actually I'm going through a breakup right now. And food is a safe way for me to maybe nurture my feelings a little bit And I needed that. And I'm not going to be mad about that. And I just have an approach now of this. I realize the thing that leads to me overeating and abusing myself with anything is the judgment that I put on myself for the initial misstep. You know, I just heard a story recently from another friend of mine who struggles with the same stuff and like binge eating sugar. Like some people, I binge eat healthy stuff because I like to never stop. Like I would rather binge eat salads than like cake because I can eat more salad. Like I want more. But some people struggle with sugars and stuff like that. And this one woman, she bought a thing of Oreos for like the next day. She was having like the grandkids over or something. Oh, I'll get Oreos. And on the way home, she's like, I'll have one, you know, and she has one. And then by the time she gets to the stoplight, one more, two, who cares? Pretty soon, you know the story, it leads to the whole sleeve. The first whole like row of Oreos is gone. And the shame that she put on herself for that first, the amount of like, you fat pig, you piece of shit, you look shitty in your swimsuit already. Look what you just did. You're so weak. How are you going to explain that to your husband? Well, all these things that then leads this woman to feel so much stress. Guess what? The only thing to soothe that self-hatred is more cookies.
Bag.
So
yeah, the whole bag.
When really you could have just gone, whoa, I needed that sleeve. And it would have just been the goddamn sleeve. So I always think of that one row of cookies because I let myself have a row of Oreos, whatever that means for you, where I just indulge a little too much, whether it's food or drinking, whatever it is for you, where, you know, like if you learn to be easy on yourself about those things, I really think it can lead to those behaviors kind of going away on their own. But that's the habit. The habit I have is just trusting that I'm a good person and that I'm not doing anything evil. And that when I do look ugly or feel stupid or feel lazy or unprepared or dishonest or whatever these things are, it's like, I just let myself off the hook for it. I just forgive myself as soon as I can. And if I can't get there, I journal about it until I fucking do. Like, I can't live in a world where I'm mad at myself. I've been punishing myself my whole life, and it's led to me having a career in comedy, but now I can't do it anymore. I literally can't. It's exhausting.
Well, no, I mean, first of all, what makes so much sense is I think that a lot of people don't realize, like, you don't have to be anorexic or bulimic. There's so much disordered eating that goes on, and it becomes like such a mind fuck for people, right? And it is a rabbit hole, right? People are not okay if they eat 5 cookies versus the one cookie that their brain says they should eat. Then they go all out. And the problem is the deprivation, right? If you deprive, once you have that taste in your mouth, it's like game over. You cannot stop.
You can't control it.
The train, it's gone.
And it's not because you're weak. You don't.
Right.
You literally have no control over it. Like it's as like, you know, it's as random as a weather event at that point. Like you can't feel it any more responsible for what happens than it raining outside. Truly, when you get on a binge, or even when you are starving yourself, like the addiction, the chemical addiction, and the drive to want to overeat when you've been depriving yourself, both psychologically depriving yourself by being like, you're bad, you can't have that, and like needing food, your body like thinks it's in starvation mode. But and just this, like, so often I just find that food disappears because I'm feeling a feeling that I don't want to feel. And that's the toughest part. I'm just like really trying to feel my feelings more and be just like, but that's still very hard for me. I mean, I'm on antidepressants. I am on ADD medication. I smoke a shit ton I've smoked too much pot. But you know what? And I'm reluctant to admit that. I'm just admitting that this week publicly, like in media and on my shows, because it's not going to benefit me to lie about it. It's like, if I really don't like it about myself and it's a habit I want to change, acting like and not doing it or not talking about it and being as honest as possible is not going to make it go away. That actually, it's just going to make it worse. So that's why I like a roommate. I can't like descend into like dirtiness. Like I'm accountable. If I want to smoke, I've made a rule for myself. I don't vape weed. I broke it when I was in LA, but generally my rule is no more vapes because you can do it all the time and you can do it in a way that people won't know you're high. And now I literally have to like light a bowl like a crack addict and it's embarrassing, but it makes me go, you're a 37-year-old woman on a balcony in your hotel in Beverly Hills, and you're crouched on the ground because you don't want the people dining below to see you smoking weed. This is not a good, clearly you're ashamed about something. Maybe look into this. But me saying that right now is it's admitting to me that like I'm doing that not because I'm a bad person, but because weed helps me deal with some emotion that I'm struggling with that I haven't figured out another way to handle. And that's okay. And and that's why I like a roommate, is because I'll be like, I have to like smoke weed. I have to like hit a bowl. Like I really do feel like I saw a person on the street homeless in LA because I looked out my window anywhere. And right. I'm not making fun of homeless. I'm saying it's like, it's literally in your face. And I saw someone smoking crack and I was like, whoa, he has like the same technique I used to smoke weed. And I was like, wow. And it's that kind of awareness and talking about it and not excusing it, not saying, but I really have a hard time judging myself about it. And this is one that I like, weed is the one that I'm most like, because it has all these connotations of laziness and being stupid. Like it makes you stupid and lazy. Like those are the pothead things.
Or paranoid. I thought it makes you paranoid too.
See, and I don't need more of that. For me, pot energizes me. It makes me more focused. It gives me the same effects that my ADD meds do, which is it makes me not want to kill myself, not have thoughts of suicide. And I naturally go to those places in my brain. It doesn't mean I act on it, but depression zaps my brain of, I'm just so unhappy in depression. Obviously, that's like what depression is. But when I got diagnosed with ADD over last summer, when I was wildly depressed, I realized, oh my God, I've been using pot for this very same, to treat my ADD, which manifests in obsessive thoughts about wanting to kill yourself. And ever since I got that treated, it's gone away. But my pot use is still amped up because I'm still dependent on it for some kind of crutch, but I'm just trying to be honest about it. And the only thing I really see it affecting is obviously my vocal cords. Like I can't inhale smoke the rest of my life. And my short-term memory also suffers. But at the same time, like I was journaling yesterday, I was like, here are the negatives, why you want to get this out of your life, all the lists. It's gross, it's smelly, your lungs, and your short-term memory. As I'm making lists, I'm like, and what? And then I go, the benefits, you're soothing a deep unease that is a slippery slope into crippling depression that makes your life impossible to live. So for now, I'm going to be okay with those side effects of that drug, the same way those side effects are rattled off for Concerta or Abilify. Like, why do I have all this? I can deal with short-term memory loss. You know how I deal with it? I'm on stage and I'm on a riff and I jettison off over here. I go, I smoked weed before the show so I would feel good and be in this mood that I'm in. I forgot what I was talking about. Can you remind me? I literally asked the audience that. I'm just honest, and then they can't be mad. They might go, Nikki, she wasn't professional because she asked us where she was. Well, because I'm high. Well, that's unprofessional. She was high. It makes me want to be here and not backstage wanting to kill myself. Well, can we all agree that's a good thing?
Exactly. Well, there's a couple that doesn't it make you tired though too? And then also, doesn't it make you eat more? Because I find whenever, it just makes me starving and I'll eat like 9 pounds of cherries versus the 3 pounds I would eat before.
Right. Smoking and eating weed is different. So I wonder which one is setting you off on the eating. And I know that smoking weed is famously like makes you get the munchies. But they're two different drugs when you eat it and when you smoke it. I cannot eat weed. I wish I could.
I don't eat it. I would never eat it.
It's really a bad effect on me. It gives me headaches and makes me super paranoid. But smoking it does not make me feel out of control in that way. If anything, like I said, the effects are not that it makes me want to go like, I want to watch Ren and Stimpy and like eat popcorn. It makes me like, I like want to start a podcast. I want to do this. Like, let's clean my house. It gives me like a methy kind of like, it's like an upper for me, but it's more of a focus. And so the food stuff, it might get my appetite going a little bit, but it's just something that, I don't know. It doesn't affect me in that way. And that's why I kind of let myself off the hook for being a pothead, because I don't really exhibit the usual stereotypes of it. But also maybe I do, because I don't know. I can be lazy. I don't know. I'm just losing all the judgment. And if it did make me eat more, it's probably good. You know,
okay.
like I probably needed it.
I mean,
like, I think your defenses get down I think the reason people eat more when they're high or drunk is because the thing that goes, you don't deserve that, makes you a little bit dumber. And if you ate enough already, you probably wouldn't overeat when you're high.
Well, 100%. I think you lose your inhibitions and you do what you would normally want to do. But like you also said, like the depression, right? So like if you're depressed and you go through that, and I know that's one of your things that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
How do you do comedy? Like, how does that, because then you have to go out and be funny, right?
That's my biggest fear, is because and now I live honestly. So when I had to do a fucking podcast last year every day. I agreed to do a podcast every day. I wasn't even getting paid for it. I volunteered it because stand-up got taken away from me. So I was like, give me something every day. I used to do stand-up every day and radio. So I was like, oh, I'll do this podcast every day for Comedy Central Radio. And I wanted to be like taken to a clinic for how depressed I was. I mean, I was wanting to shave my head. Like I was having really just thoughts of despair, wanting to get hit by a car, like not wanting to take my own life, but not like begging God to give me cancer. I mean, like really bad thoughts, like the worst. And I had to do a podcast every day, and it was torture. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. And that I've had a blessed life that's the hardest thing I've done, but really trying to be entertaining and knowing that people are because my listeners were like, that's how I found out about that I have ADD. People were like, because I keep trying to treat my depression and it wasn't doing it. But there was something else missing. And I just talked about it enough and got so honest that I had listeners go, if you ever looked into adult ADD for women, because it manifests differently, like you kind of check a couple boxes. And thankfully I was able to pay for a test because it's all out of pocket and it's very expensive and takes days and hours. But I got an honest diagnosis and was able to treat that depression. But
what's the test? A brain scan?
Like, no, it was, they make you do memorization stuff with a person behind a plastic thing because it was COVID. But I like had to she'd give me lists of words and like a lot of like a computer thing where you hit a button when you see a light to see your focus. And yeah, I mean, I definitely have it and I've always had it. And it explains a lot. I'm glad in ways that I wasn't treated for it earlier because it happened when it was supposed to happen. But it's made my life so much easier once I've had that, and it's made, I think, everything else possible. But I think the first step though was really tackling the eating disorder and being willing to say goodbye to these things that I thought were like, when I say eating in bed was the only thing I look forward to. And I mean, what a depressing, that was when I wasn't even depressed. It truly was. I sobbed when I was like, did that first night of like, okay, you're not going to eat tonight. Because to me, if I don't eat tonight, first of all, I'm starving because I haven't eaten all day. So at some point I have to first eat breakfast and not eat at night. So if I don't eat at night, I'm going to be so hungry. How am I going to get to bed? But I decided to just start that day after a binge at night, I forced myself to eat breakfast the next day, even though I was not hungry for it because I binged the night before.
What do you eat? What do you eat?
I have 2 bowls of oatmeal with protein powder every morning, pretty much every morning, if I can fit it in before I like the podcast. And then for lunch, I pretty much just eat whatever I want, but I tend to like healthy things and like foods that were developed and I gained a taste for through my anorexic eating. So a lot of my foods do look like, okay, little diety rice cake, like tofu-y cream cheese, secretly healthy bitch. But I love healthy foods and I like seaweed snacks. I know that's like I like anorexic foods that I developed a taste for during my eating disorder that I have shame around, but it's just what I like. Like the miracle that I found was when I went back to the Comedy Cellar, which I've been going to for 10 years. and eating at the same place, the same menu every night, getting the same thing, a smorgasbord of salads with like dressing on the side and no feta cheese.
Yes.
Well, I was vegan for a while, or I am vegan, but just no oil on the hummus because they would squirt oil on top, or no oil on the baba ganoush, and just like always like I had to modify everything because if I didn't, and I'm like you, I heard your TED Talk when you go like, I look at a menu and I go, I know what they have in the kitchen, like put this together for me. Like I never go buy like a salad they suggest. I'm like, okay, so I want this lettuce. Every place is a build your own salad to me.
That's how it is for me. And by the way, so much what you're saying is resonating, right? Like I'd rather have 9 billion huge salads because it's more calories or less calories, more volume, volume.
I love volume. I love tasting food. I can't let go of that. I'm not going to surrender that. Some people that handle their eating disorders really have to surrender this like eating things that taste good because they have maybe a sugar addiction. So mine is more about just wanting to deprive myself, and that led me to binges. I didn't have a binge problem. I had a starving myself problem, and I don't really have a starving myself problem. I have a self-esteem problem because I didn't like why would you starve something to make it skinnier? Like I know I hate doing the analogy of you would never do that to your like beloved child.
Right.
But you wouldn't. And that's just cuts through it so much. Like you clearly don't like yourself. I did not have a problem admitting that I had low self-esteem. I really, I still struggle with it. And that's why I starved myself. And so
it's interesting
starting to eat, eat again.
Well,
was weird.
Wait a minute. You don't see yourself like, so you said yourself earlier on the podcast that it's not like you don't see yourself as skinny. Like, you're skinny while you're doing it, but it's not about that. You can't help yourself. Like it just, I thought
it was about that. I mean, started out like that. Like I always admired bodies like Paris Hilton and, Marissa
You
Miller.
look like Paris Hilton, by the way.
Thank you. I mean, I try. I mean, it's all effort in trying to. Jennifer Aniston. Like I was always obsessed with these women who kind of resembled, like I already have like a thin physique. I was a thin child. But then when I started like maturing, I was just not as pretty as I wanted to be. And I thought that, okay, well, I can't control like what my face looks like, but that's something I can control. So, but I didn't know how to ever. I tried to diet. It wouldn't work, whatever. But then one day in high school, like I found out a boy liked me that I liked. And I got so nervous. I just like lost my appetite because of nerves. Yeah. And then people complimented me on how good I looked, even like, cause I dropped weight shows up, like losing weight shows up in my face right away. And I guess someone just saw it and was like, you look great. I remember Jamie Nash, who I love, but she was like, you look amazing. Did you lose weight? And I'm like, I must have. Like, oh my God, it's because I'm like not hungry because I have a crush on this guy, Mike, who might like me and I might kiss a boy. And I was like, what did I do? Oh, I just like didn't eat yesterday. I'll just like keep not eating. And then I was just like the best at that. Like I just killed it, like almost killed myself. And then eventually I discovered I just didn't have a reason to live. I like thought I was ugly. Also, when I was anorexic, I mean, I was a walking skeleton because I couldn't eat like fat or calories became poison to me. Like truly, like my life would be over if I consumed them. And it was like that grave where it was like, I would just sob if I had to like put anything in my body and I didn't even know why anymore. Like it didn't, I was well past looking like Paris Hilton. Like I looked like a Holocaust victim, like being like, that's how I looked. And it was embarrassing everywhere I went. But I couldn't stop it. But the only thing that got me to stop was I thought I was going to die. I would pray to die because you're just being hungry even a little bit is hell. Starving is awful. The worst feeling. And also having to do anything but lay in bed shivering is exhausting when you're starving to death. And so I was going to school. I was like, it was hell. It was hell on earth and there was no end to it. And then I did stand-up comedy and it's really like a dumb I feel like it's always just like a lifetime moment. But when I did stand-up comedy, I was like, I'm good at something and I like something more than I like being thin or like whatever. I have a reason to live essentially. Before I had no reason to live. I'm just like, what am I going to be, a fucking teacher? Or like, I wanted to be famous. I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to be like, well, I had this like,
you did. You always wanted to be.
Yeah, I wanted to just be loved by strangers because I didn't get enough love as a child. And that's not because my parents weren't so loving. I just was born a really fucking needy, little, like really, really sensitive, overly, I needed more. And I feel bad. ever saying that I didn't get enough love as a child, but you do not become a stand-up comedian because you got enough love as a child. It's just the way it is. My parents are like, love me so fucking much, and it wasn't enough. And it's a shame, but it's true. So I definitely sought fame because I thought that would make me feel loved. And it does, honestly. But you know what? You know what? It finally does now because I'm being honest. And so I know that people do like me for me because I'm not trying to be anyone else. And I don't feel like I'm not being dishonest in any way. And anytime I say anything or like trying to get something by presenting this, but I'm doing this, I never feel like I'm have imposter syndrome anymore because I just am there's no calculation, even though calculating is actually a good quality to have. And women, Taylor Swift gets called calculating, and it's like men can be calculating, they get praised for it, and women, but I truly, I don't go by every business decision I make now or every life decision is like, will this make me happier in a way that will do the least amount of harm, that will make me happier? Like if something, because sometimes things make you happy that harm others, like consuming anything, like consumerism, capitalism, like seeking money, seeking fame, seeking, I'm just like trying to think, for instance, like will buying a Tesla, this is the thing for me, will buying a Tesla, every decision I make goes through this lens, make the world a better place than I left it. Like, is that going towards my goal of when I leave this earth, it's going to be better? And I have to like think about that. Like maybe it will, like maybe I will feel so cool in a Tesla and have such confidence and like this, like treating myself well because you earned, this is something you earned. I'll feel so good driving around in that like I will be in a better mood to like, and have more freedom or energy to start a thing that brings like, is me able to get out more messages of positivity. Like maybe it will do more good. So, and maybe, and I also don't know. And sometimes I just want a massage, but, or like something so self-indulgent, and I don't feel bad about that because a massage is going to make me happier. I used to always just think the only way to gain is for pain. And now I don't like try to like avoid things that feel good anymore and question my motives about everything. You're clearly selfish and manipulative. Like there's always that voice in my head, and I just kind of like I just don't think it's true. It can't be. There's nothing in me that if I had a lie detector test, I know I would pass it in saying that I want to be a good person.
But so you want to be a good,
believe it.
I believe it because you said it so many times. I know. I'm saying,
but like, why do I have to say it so many times?
You've said it like 100 times.
But like, why do I that? And then that makes me question: doesn't a person that's actually good not need to say it? And then I go, oh my god, then you're probably bad. Like that's.
But
it's never ending.
I understand what you're saying. I actually think also that could be the case, but I also think it's because you really like believe that you are, and you want others to understand that what your intentions are. Maybe I don't know.
I don't really care if other people understand. I guess I don't. Like there's a part of me that does, but I really want to let go of that too, because if I get in that frame of mind of like, does that person hate me? Do they think that I'm this? I cannot control how other people care about me.
By the way, I'm going to send you some of this. I got to send you some of this because I see you drinking that. It's driving me. It's called BL. No. It's BLK water. It's water, but it's it has a lot of like, it helps with nutrients absorption. It has a lot of antioxidants, and you're drinking so much pop and soda. I want to send you some of this.
Oh my God. Okay.
And so you can have some
water.
I
love the seltz. I know. I drink all seltzer. It's like only like sometimes at the end of the day I go, I have had no flat water.
Yeah, well, you need to have some like actual water that will be good for you. So I'm going to get you that. Anyway.
And I would love some, but you know what? Even that, I used to be mad at myself for not drinking water. I just go at the end of the day, go, well, you're still living. Well, tomorrow's a new day. Like I let it go. Like stop this. Like you should be doing this. You need to do this. Like, yeah, I know. I'll try it again tomorrow. Like it doesn't like, it's not being lazy. It's just being gentler, I guess. I don't know.
It's about being gentler. It makes perfect sense to me. So basically you're admitting that you like to have external validation. That's why you like being famous.
Oh yeah. I want to be, I still crave being famous. I'm not going to lie. I like people thinking I'm cool. I always wanted to be popular in high school.
What do people like? Do you care if people only want to be your friend or date you because you're famous?
Oh, I'm disgusted by that. Like, that's the thing that I'm really glad that that because I've seen people go from not being cool to me because I wasn't cool in comedy or what, they were cooler than me in the comedy scene. And I really wanted them to like me. And now I've gotten a little bit cool cred and now they're nice to me. And I just despise, not despise them because that's whatever. I have empathy for whatever made them that kind of person. But I don't want that near me. I actually respect people that still treat me like shit, even after they might be gaining something from being nice to me. Because I go, at least you were a cunt through the end. Like, at least you were true to yourself. Like, but when I see someone being nice out of nowhere to me that was not cool to me before, I'm so glad that I don't go, oh, finally you like me. Like, I mean, I'm not going to say if I would be pretty embarrassing meeting a lot of celebrities that I have a lot of like snarky things to say about. So, but or I have said snarky things about. Now I try to talk about celebrities in a way that's honest that I would probably say to their face. But there have been times I've mouthed off about people and then I would meet them in person. I'm like, I'm such a big fan. I'm like, well, no, you're not. What are you saying? Like, I don't need to do that. Yeah. I don't want to do that anymore. And that's how it got into that Taylor Swift thing. I mean, I am a huge fan of hers and I was mouthing out about her in a jealous way, complaining about she was honestly going through a eating disorder herself that she admitted to on her documentary Miss Americana during her 1989 phase of her career as a Swiftie. That's like her 1989, like red 1989 era. She was struggling with trying to stay thin and feeling fat in photos and like, she was hanging out with those models and I was so fucking jealous at the time because I was just like not thin enough to like see myself in Taylor's crew. And that's all I want is to be Taylor Swift, to be around like, and I was just like, felt betrayed by my best friend. Like it felt the same way that my best friend Kirsten abandoned my best friend from 4th grade till high school. She got adopted into the cool girls and she couldn't take me with her. That's just the rule. And I just felt like, Taylor, you're not going to take me with you. And so I'm going to like make fun of you being skinny and make fun of you being friends with models. And that gives me the upper hand. I don't even want that. Like I just called it out and then it was repurposed in her documentary to be in a montage of the reasons why she was going to take a year off from the spotlight because it became too much judgment. And I was one of the mouthy talking heads of like this chaotic sequence in the documentary that was like, she's too skinny, all her model friends. It's like, come on. I didn't even say anything funny. And I mean, Taylor Swift is truly like one of my best friends. Like the way I feel about her, like I love, she's changed she's part of my like,
are you guys actually really good friends? Like
no,
you guys are.
She doesn't know me at all.
Have you ever met her before?
Yeah, I've met her backstage before this whole incident, and then she also reached out to me after I did an Instagram apology for what showed up in the documentary, and I admitted like I was insecure, I was projecting all over the place, and like I'm really sorry that I made anyone feel this way. And I did it not because I wanted to get her attention. If anything, I don't want her attention because I just don't want to bother her. She's so busy making art that makes me feel seen in a way that nothing else in my life ever has. So it was a really bad day. When the documentary came out, I saw how it was used in the film because I had heard my voice in the trailer and I knew I was going to be in it somehow. And I was like, that's my voice. My friends were like, you wouldn't say that about Taylor. And I was like, yes, I would. Like, bitch, I talk shit about you. You think we're friends? No. Like, you talk about people you love. You have like opinions, and I was just feeling, I was probably starving that day and doing an interview. And I was just like, like on BuzzFeed or whatever. And in that day that I saw it in the documentary, Swifties weren't coming at me like I thought they would. It was more about like, I couldn't listen to Taylor Swift's music that day. And I listened to it every day of my life.
Do you really?
Like it's all I listen to. It's not all I listen to, but it's 90% of what I listen to is Taylor Swift. Because you can listen to 90% Taylor Swift and be a person who listens to music all the time, and you will not have to repeat a song for weeks
Forever.
because
No, I
her
know.
catalog is insane. She's the best person to be a fan of because she's so prolific.
And by the way, her newest album, she keeps on getting better. Not to even like, Willow, all the Cardigan, like her new album's amazing. She keeps on like growing as an artist.
She's just honest. Like she's having the same kind of moment, I think, of where she's like tired of giving people what they wanted and then also then going against what they wanted so she can be, doing the other thing. And now she's just like, I just am in love and happy and I want to go shoot. Like I want to do my own makeup she's just like being more natural and like she might go back to glam because that's what she'll want. But you can just tell she's being authentic now. And that's always what I've liked about her is that she could be so authentic. But that day that I thought I had contributed to her pain was just an awful day because I had. And I was like, I couldn't listen to her music because it was like listening to, I don't know, it was just like, I felt too bad that I maybe had not inspired, but like made her sad enough to even be able to write this. What I don't know. It was just like I couldn't do it, and I was like, "Oh my God, I cannot live without Taylor Swift. Like, what can I do?" And I was like, "I have to apologize. I don't even know if she'll see it." I was going to ask my agent to like put me in touch with her, but I knew that they did not want to like dust this up and get me bad press, so they would have been like, yeah, we'll get the message to her. And then they never would have been like, we don't know if she got it, but they would have never sent it like, because everyone lies. And so even though I love my reps, like they lie to protect me, I'm sure. Even though I wish they would just always tell me the truth, I can handle it. But I just decided to put it on my Instagram because I was like, this is the best shot of her seeing it. At least someone will see it. Maybe it will get read to her or something. And I put it out there and she did see it by the end of the night. She had posted a comment on it. But I didn't even need her to forgive me because I had put it out there. I knew she would see it. And that's all I needed was her to just know. I didn't really need the forgiveness. And I was able to, as soon as I posted, I was able to listen to her again. And it wasn't a thing I even knew was going to happen. But I was like, this weight had lifted of like, I did not mean to do that to that person. I explained myself clearly why I did it. And I was accountable and I did make excuses. I didn't go, but it was just like, this is the truth. It was ugly. I don't like who that was. And that kind of made me, that set for me an example of how I would handle a situation if I were to be quote unquote like canceled for something that hurt someone. Like it could happen. I say hurtful things sometimes. I'm a human.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you about this. You mentioned it a few times, the whole cancel culture thing. I mean, because people's careers are literally just like being just deleted for saying
overnight.
Even if they apologize, it doesn't seem to matter.
It doesn't seem to matter. You know what matters to me? I still consume things that people have given adequate apologies for. So it does matter to someone. Like I feel like there are ways to repent in an honest way where I go, wow, that person really does realize that they have an addiction problem and they're doing the work. They can't change overnight, but to be able, I just feel like I know when someone's accountable and when someone's giving you an apology that doesn't work. And I don't need an apology really, to enjoy someone's work. If I'm able to enjoy their work, like I don't think I think it's case by case basis. I don't understand why I can still listen to Michael Jackson knowing and believing what I do believe.
Right. Like, me too.
But I still can enjoy it. I don't know why. I can't change my mind to start hating him because of I've exposed myself to the knowledge. I still, there are some people that can see factory farm footage and continue eating cows. I can't do it. I wish I could. I can't explain why I can't. I don't know, but I can do it. I mean, I can eat meat. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I feel like I'm talking about more when people, unless you're exactly on point with what mainstream media is, unless you're saying exactly what's PC,
right?
People, jump on you and then you basically have become like ostracized from the community. That's more what I do have that
fear, but I also, I've explored what could happen if that happens to me and I'll be okay. I'm lucky and I'm financially stable enough that I'll be okay. I save. So so I'm in a good position financially.
Roommates with your mom.
Yeah, I have roommates. Like I'm not a lot of overhead. I'm single. Like I have set up a life where if I got canceled and all my income stopped tomorrow, I would be happy opening a bird rescue and getting into animal rescue and just making a different wage the rest of my life and living off my savings and making it like I'd make it work. My happiness does not depend on me being famous and wealthy. So you could take everything from me and think I'm the worst. I get branded a racist or what else is terrible? Like a child, like I don't know what. I know I'm not. Yeah. Listen, racist. By the way, I've said that before. I know I'm not racist. I need to clarify that and say I know that it is never my intent to be racist. Now that does not mean that I am not a part of a society that has racism woven into the fabric in a conscious and subconscious way that I don't know when it's not up to me to decide when I'm racist. It's up for someone else to go, hey, that made me feel racially marginalized. And then I can go, okay, I don't want to do that. Or I can go, I don't understand that. Explain it to me more. And I know, but I just know that I'm never operating from a place where if I'm doing a joke about race, whether it harms more than it helps, because I argue a lot, like talking about these issues that you can't joke about rape, you can't joke about whatever taboo topic, race or stereotypes.
Right.
Okay, well then if we don't talk about them, then we don't. If we don't joke about them, then we don't talk about them. If we don't talk about them, then they don't exist. Then that we get to keep living in a world where they happen and we act like they don't exist. And then the people can keep doing them because you don't talk about that. And then guess what gets to keep happening? The things that you don't talk about. People love silence. Like the people who are like, I have this whole, I'm working about jokes about molestation, like a chunk. I've never been molested. I want to spread information that I have to protect more children and to actually possibly reach out to pedophiles who don't wish to be pedophiles. No one wants to be that, to maybe implore them to get help to stay away from kids, right? And to acknowledge that they have a defect that is leading them to do terrible things, and to maybe like my jokes that I'm making might seem at the expense of victims, but it is, I reason that I'm going to do more good with the knowledge I'm going to impart through my jokes, which is my form of communication and my medium that I work in, than harm. But I do recognize that harm will be done because someone could get triggered by the word molestation because it could send them into that. Like there's going to be harm, or someone might find something I say, I make a joke off a racial stereotype. Let's say I used to have a joke where, it's a good joke too, where I was like proud of the joke structure. It was a very early joke early on, but I said, I always look at a guy's hands to get an idea of the size of their penis. And I was so interested in this guy the other day because his hands were just so black. And that's just like a stereotype based on black guys have big dicks. Yeah. That's not the one anyone's really mad about. But it's also, it is a stereotype that I'm sure some person could be offended by, like, I actually don't have a big dick, or I do have a big dick and I hate that people just assume that about me, or it makes us it sexualizes black men. Like there could be problems with that stereotype in myriad ways that someone could actually be offended by. And I acknowledge that. I argue that I'm not doing that joke to hurt people. And if you prove to me that that's hurting more people than it's making people laugh and just like how dumb that stereotype, then I'll stop doing it. Like I don't want to. Yeah. Anything I could get canceled for, I feel like I could just, even if the world hated me. But I've talked to people who've been canceled and seem like they have the worst lives on the outside where everyone hates them and people are. I ran into a comedian who had been canceled, and I asked him point blank, like, tell me what it's been like this first time coming out of like hiding. And I'm like, what has it been like for you? Like, in all honesty, this is a guy that people question, would I even sit at the same table as him if he came back at the Comedy Cellar and sat at the table? Would we all get up? And I remember being like, should I get up? I believe the things I've heard and I'm not happy with it, but should I get up from the table that I've been sitting at because he just got here? No, I'm going to stay seated and I'm going to look at him and I'm going to ask him, what's your life been like? As a canceled person. I was curious. And he told me a couple stories of having, one story is with his kids at a gift shop or something, and a woman kind of whispered in his ears, like, you fucking piece of shit, like said something gross in his ear that felt like, gross. And then I think another woman had flicked him off on the court. He was telling me these anecdotes of uncomfortable situations to be in that I really wouldn't wish for anyone because it sucks. And I go, wow, this sucks to be this guy. I was like, okay, I see how this doesn't seem quite like, this seems like a hard life, despite what he's done. It's just, it's a hard life. And I have a little bit of empathy that he's a little shell shocked from living this. And I was like, wow. And I go, so this is like, how many times is this happening a week? And he goes, oh, those were the only 2 times. This is the guy had been canceled a year.
Who was it?
I don't want to say, but 2 times this guy has dealt with situations where he felt people were mad at him. And to me, it was just like, okay, even when this person who has been canceled by, and like, you know, is associated with the word canceled, and has that much of a canceling, any cancel that I get is going to be probably less than that. I would hope, because it would be based on nothing, because I'm not a sexual deviant really, in a way that involves unconsenting people. I'm deviant, but everyone's consenting so far. So if I get canceled, it'll be maybe one mean thing said to me a year in a gift shop. I don't know. I could deal with that. Being canceled doesn't seem so bad. I was just like kind of shocked at like, oh, I thought this guy was getting spit on in the street. I mean, that was the idea. That's how I had believed this guy led his life. So I'm not saying that's every cancel guy's experience, but I also think canceling is really stupid and it should be a consumer decision. I don't enjoy comedians who come out as perverts and they're or things. I don't enjoy comedians anymore who I trust. My favorite comedians are the ones that are telling the truth. And my favorite comedians have been people like, you know, Louis C.K. I like Bill Burr. I like Carlin, you know, like I love guys that are just like, whoa, what the fuck? Louis just admitted his kid's a piece of shit. He just told a story about his wife giving a sad hand up. Like this guy just like puts it all out there and I'm fucking like, I just trust him. And then when you learn some information, no matter what like when you learn the facts and those are hard to get, but when you look at the facts and you go, okay, this person wasn't telling the whole story. I, as a consumer, don't really want to hear that comedy anymore. Not because I'm like, he deserves me not to have a ticket to his show. Sure, there's maybe a little part of me, but it's like, I just am not interested. I just don't enjoy. I can enjoy Michael Jackson singing about Thriller because it has nothing to do with, I don't rely on Michael Jackson to be honest about looking at little boys' assholes when he masturbates. That's not a part of it for me. However, a comedian on stage telling truth about the sex stuff he does, and then it's not actually painting the whole picture, you aren't why I liked you. Right. So I don't really, Chris Brown, you sing songs about love. I know what you've done in the name of love. And I don't enjoy these songs as much anymore. I still can't help but love the one where the wedding party is dancing forever, ever. Yeah. Because that's before I didn't know it was Chris Brown at the time and I just loved it. But it doesn't, that it's not as easy for me to enjoy Chris Brown as it is Michael Jackson. I don't know. I think I had more experience with Michael Jackson. Maybe Michael Jackson doesn't, I've never trusted Michael Jackson. He's never looked like he was supposed, like he's never been authentic to me. So the horrors he's done to children for some reason have not impacted my enjoyment of his music as much as you would think it has. And I just expect more from comedians. I don't know what it is, but I think it's I don't believe that Louis C.K. I think it should be like if you want him at your club, have him at your club. If you want to go see him, go see him. I don't know that I would buy a ticket because I'm just not interested. Because the thing that I enjoyed about him proved to be it was an illusion. Or it wasn't the full truth.
It wasn't the full truth. The one I never understood is the other one. Azizi, he had that show Master of None, you know.
Yeah, Aziz Ansari. That one was tough too because, I mean, I don't even like to get into it because it's so weird. Comedians never you're never supposed to talk bad about another comedian's cancellation because first of all, it could happen to you. We've seen it. And we're all supposed to defend each other to the death because we all have each other's backs. The Aziz thing, I mean, he is someone that I'm already like playing with my tight because I'm like getting nervous talking about Aziz. But the thing is, that was a story that was a woman's experience. I've had that experience before, not with Aziz, but like I didn't want it to happen. The sex became too rough they suddenly get horny in a way that you're like, who's this guy showing up? Like, I was just on a date with Steve, and now this guy that's like a little more aggressive and like has a change in tone. Like, horniness makes guys like do weird stuff sometimes. And I'm not excusing it, but I've been in that situation where you just end up doing something you don't want to do, and things are happening that you don't want to do. And I also relate to being so horny that you say or do things that you, and not having awareness for the experience of the person that you're with, and thinking things differently, and being not empathetic, or like not like, I just feel that one's a tough one for me. I mean, obviously I'm struggling with it. I empathize with both sides, weirdly enough, and not because I feel like I've made someone feel uncomfortable in that way, but who knows? Maybe I have. I mean, like, I don't know that we always know, like, you know, in terms of what I'm saying about my stand-up, I remember hearing a story where I told an abortion joke early on in my career where it was just like, I had no idea what I was talking about, but it was like a good enough joke that I'd said it. Right. And I remember hearing that like some woman left crying, and I was just like, wait, what? Like, why would that make someone cry? I had no clue that that could have hurt someone. I had no intention of doing that. So I'm wondering if when I look at a situation and I go, there's intent behind it, or when there's just like, I don't know, man, it's tricky because I could come at for any of this, and I almost want you to cut it because I just,
I'm going to say this. Okay, you don't know. I want to say something about it. Okay. Yeah. I understand. I don't want you to get more uncomfortable. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I think with that, the reason why I brought him up specifically actually was, like, I'm not anti one thing or another, but I will say that women aren't always angels and 100% truthful either, right? You can do some, I've done a lot of things that I'm like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Or I regret, dating that guy or going out with that guy. I just felt like that one was kind of unfair in a way, like, and there's no way to even defend yourself. A lot of times you get into these situations where, because of Me Too, the Me Too movement, where then you're, even as a guy, then it doesn't mean not every woman is 100% always telling the truth. And I'm not saying that the women they shouldn't say their truth and be honest and all that, but there are some times where it is a little bit like, I don't know, and then.
I know. Yeah. That is the tricky thing, Jen, is like, who do we trust? Like, who do we believe? You want to believe women because they're so often not believed, and we're supposed to believe all women. And then sometimes you go, well, I've lied a lot in my life. And sometimes I hear things about women. I'm like, we're not that great. Let's ease up. Like, we're just, feminism it means we're equal. Like, we can be just as scummy as men. I've met women that are just as disgusting and behave with just as much immunity and just ego and misogyny
and they use what their assets to get what they want. Like, I mean, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend, I've never done this or like played up this so I can get, X or Y. I mean, that's just not, that's like bullshit if I said that was not. So then coming from that perspective, sometimes it's like, it's not fair. So that's why this whole cancel culture, sometimes there are like times when it's like, oh my gosh, like, it's just not necessarily what you see. There's always like two sides to a story. And then
I know that's why I just gave up in the end and go, I don't know, because you know what? I don't know. And sometimes it's a cop out because people go, well, then get the facts, talk to the girl, read the whole thing. And I go, I don't have time. Honestly, I don't have time. And that's okay. And it doesn't mean I'm a bad person because I don't have time to look into. Like, someone recently posted about how, like, there's comedians, all the shows in LA, there's too many men, not enough women on shows. There's always one woman per show. That's always the joke of like, they can't have more than one woman. It'd be like, they'd have to like label it like, Tampon Tuesday or whatever. Like, it has to have a theme if they're going to do women because there's only one. And someone tweeted at me like, what are you going to do about this? And I'm like, nothing. Honestly, I'm not, I'm aware of it. I can't, I got a lot going on. I got a podcast I do every day. I can't do it all. And sometimes I talk about animal rights because it's one that really lights me up. And then it's on a day where there's a human rights issue going on and people don't want to hear me talking about don't eat meat. I can't. It's just the thing that I'm good at spreading information about. So it's better for me to stick to this than the other ones because the other ones intimidate me, or I'm fearful of being ignorant, and I feel guilty, and so I don't want to look into my white guilt or whatever it is. It was weird during Black Lives Matter to have any vegan messaging. It felt weird to me. It felt out of place. But at the same time, I was like, it doesn't mean that animals aren't still. That's my thing that I'm good at disseminating information about, and maybe that means I need to go take a course so I can learn it. And I when I know it's time to do that, it will be time to do it. And I can't. You just can't do it all. But I try to just admit when I don't know. I just don't know, and I trust. I try to trust people to let me know when they're upset with me. Like even on my own podcast, I tell my listeners, I'm like, if I say anything that you're just like, what the fuck? Like we trust her, and that opinion was not cool. And I felt like sad that my friend Nikki would say that. Will you write to me and tell me that you're upset? Because I don't know until you let me know. And I either want to apologize or I want to hear more why you experience that way, because empathy is new to me. I used to think everyone should just think the way I think because that's the way I think and I'm right. And it's a new concept to me that people might have a different kind of right, and that's okay. It's like I need to constantly be open to being wrong, and there's freedom in that. Like I love apologizing when I really mean it. I think it's the best feeling in the world when I really go, oh my God, I literally need to tell you sorry because I hated you. I just told this to an ex-boyfriend. I go, I made a sport of hating you for 9 years and I'm disgusted by it. And I can really look back at myself. I was not ever ready to apologize to you, but I wanted to make your life hell for 9 years. Anytime your name came up, I wanted to trash you. I wanted to cause you as much harm as you caused me because I hated myself. And the thing you did to me was confirmation that I wasn't, that I was right. And it was the first time I had actual confirmation that a guy did something mean to me, and I used every part of everything in my arsenal to make you have a bad life. And I don't think I'd do that to someone now who did the same thing to me. And I was able to admit that. It just was freeing. I was wrong. And I can admit it because I don't want to be that way anymore. And I'm not trying to get anything out of this guy. It was just like, I don't know. I don't feel bad about admitting when I've been wrong. And thank God, because I am a lot.
Well, do you date a lot of comedians?
I used to, but I went through them all. And I literally dated. I've gone after every comedian I wanted to. There's not
really
one that
Which ones have you dated? Which ones have you dated?
I don't on record. I've dated, I can't talk about a lot of them because they're with people they cheated on with me. It's kind of that kind of thing is when we dated, they were kind of cheating on their girlfriend who they're now married to. It's just I was just a drunk person that hooked up a lot and had little dalliances with guys. But my relationships have been there was a St. Louis comedian that is not even doing it anymore. He was my first boyfriend. I was 24. And then I dated the guy that I was just talking about. He was a rapper / comedian, brilliant rapper. His name is Zach Sherwin. And really probably one of the first nice guys I dated. And I broke up with him, and he wrote a rap song about me having bad breath. And I was so hurt by it that I said, don't ever talk to me again. I hate you. And continued to trashed him any chance I could and made him feel very ostracized from the comedy community. Because as I got cooler, I would try to I wanted him to not be happy because he embarrassed me so badly. And now I realize he was dealing with his hurt in a way that was not healthy. And he admitted that. And he admitted that right away. And I was not willing to forgive. And now he wrote me the other day because he heard that I was a vegan. He said that, oh, I realized since you're vegan, you're probably ready to forgive and forget. Yes. He was that was my first indication. I heard you were vegan. So he reached out, and I was I am so embarrassed that you had to be the first to reach out because I've been ready to get ready for an apology. I just sent him a tower of text, and now we said, I love you. And he's coming on my podcast next week so we can talk about like this 10 years of us like hating each other from afar. I mean, it's
wow.
But my relationship, I mean, I'm really fucked up when it comes to guys, but I'm finally like feeling very like I'm exactly where I want to be. I'm fulfilled sexually. I get that. I was always trying to look for a relationship to fulfill my sex life, because as much as I'm scared of sex, I'm obsessed with it and I love it more. Like it's my favorite. It's like, I love it like a hobby. Like I love playing guitar. I love it like people love tennis or golf. Like I want it to be a part of my life forever. Like I like it recreationally. Like I don't need it to be tethered to love or procreation. Like I enjoyed kink stuff, and I've always felt really embarrassed of that stuff and kind of like not shameful, but like, oh, you're just trying to be sexual so that like people like you more. But it's like, no, I just love sex. And I started looking at it as like, okay, I need to find a tennis partner. Like you don't wait to play tennis until your husband, hopefully you find a husband who likes to play tennis so you can share that hobby, but you don't wait to find a husband before you let yourself play tennis.
Right.
Go find a tennis. So what I found is like, as long as I don't like have like penis and vagina sex with a guy, that's something I'm saving for love in a relationship. I can do anything else and really not get attached and not get as hurt as I have in the past. So that's another habit I have, is I don't let penises in my vagina.
Well, you don't let penises.
Nope, no more.
So what do you do?
I mean, I'm a big old, I'm into anal. I'm into fingering. I'm into, I don't even need, literally I could sign off and never have a penis. I mean, a penis in me again. Like how do lesbians have good sex lives? Like a guy can do just the same things like a lesbian would. Like dildos are amazing. The best sex I've had is literally is by a man who has a great penis but is using toys exclusively. I just like being kind of like being tied up and just like forced to come, pretty much, because I'm such a control freak. I don't like orgasms. Feel like, no, I'm gonna shit everywhere. So like I was scared I'm like gonna lose control. Like it's too wild for me. So I have to kind of be forced to do it as a control freak. And so I like being tied up and all that stuff. Like I like being like kind of like a slave a little bit. It takes me out of my it's not control, even like
a lack of control.
It's really good for my mental health. It's so weird that it is, but being called a dumb, stupid whore who's only good for being a cum receptacle makes me feel better later on in the day. I know that's so wild. I'm so sorry to say this on this podcast, but like I used to have a lot of shame of like wanting to be belittled and kind of degraded in bed. And like, what does that mean? Do I hate myself? I just want a moment where I don't have to worry about anything. And if like, and that it's just very freeing to me and almost meditative. And as soon as I was able to separate those two and be like, okay, this is something that is self-care, is having sex. Force yourself to find someone to do it with in a safe way. And now that I found that, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to make I think this is going to make me finding a husband a lot easier. Because I have like a fuck buddy.
I think so too. I have a
fuck buddy that's like I'm not dependent on a husband to get the sex. I have the sex. And now if a person comes along that is amazing, I can't wait to make love. That's something I'm saving for marriage. But sex, I don't want that to be dependent on a relationship. I can't, because relationships do not come my way that often. Like, and I can't be depressed all the time because I can't get a guy to settle down, or I can't be attracted to a guy that wants to settle down with me. I haven't been able to be attracted to the right people to have a consistent relationship with, or the people I'm attracted to don't want to be with me. So there's something holding me back from that, and it ain't sex anymore.
Right.
I'm now playing tennis a lot.
Hold on a second.
And so maybe doubles soon. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. That's funny. How do you you talk about this stuff so freely? Like, what do you think? What do your parents say? Like, this is like some of your jokes.
Easy.
I mean, I'm uncomfortable. Even to listen. I got to make sure there's no one around me when I'm listening to when you're opening for banging on Netflix. That
Yeah, I
whole
should have
opening.
had a warning, like get your parents out of the room. I should have had that, honestly.
Honestly, I was like listening
My
to
parents
it.
were at that taping, at the first one. And Jen, it was the first time ever that I thought about what it might be like being there. I saw my dad's head. He has like a head like a turtle. It was poking out of the audience. They were very well lit. I didn't expect that even. I already don't like to see people's faces. I see my dad's head and I'm talking about like choking on a dick.
Oh,
and I stopped and I go, you guys, I almost left it in the special. I go, you guys, my dad is here. I just have to acknowledge I'm saying this in front of my dad. It just dawned on me that this might be hard for him to hear. I swear to you, Jen, my empathy is in such a lag that I couldn't even, I never considered their feelings ever. For me, it was like, well, your daughter's going to be famous and I'm going to take care of you when you're older. So whatever means I have to getting rich so that you don't end up in a state-run nursing home as opposed to the dope one I'm going to get you into that's going to have the word estates in it. Like you're benefiting from me doing this. And now I'm really seeing the fruits of my labor. But yeah, when I started out at open mics being like, my mom, complaining about my mom's drinking and talking about, getting abortions, even though I wasn't even having sex, like talking about sex. I don't know. I'm really grateful for the fact that I don't care about sharing that stuff and that, I don't know why though. I just don't have the thing that people have that goes, don't say that. And it's embarrassing sometimes because there's nothing worse than being the girl who go like where people go TMI. Like I hate making people uncomfortable being like, I don't want to picture, like, I don't want the fact that my roommate might ever hear me have sex is horrifying to me. But me talking about my sex life to him is not embarrassing, but like, if he's uncomfortable with it, like, or if he's not,
yeah.
I don't like making. I'm not trying to talk about sex to turn people on or make them feel weird. And if they do, if I get that sense, then I stop. But when I talk about it on stage, I try to do it in a way that's funny enough that or it's in a dark enough room that people can kind of just slink and not feel as weird. And I don't know why I don't have that thing. Like, some people like free climb and you're like, how? Does your body let you?
He doesn't have that thing. He doesn't have that thing either.
Yeah, he doesn't have the thing for heights. I don't have the thing for public humiliation or like having porn stars. I watch porn stars, Jen, and I admire them so much because to me, that is, and I want to do that. I secretly want to do that. I would love, sex is my favorite thing to do. It would be like mixing my favorite activity. It'd be like, the way people play tennis recreationally. They're like, oh man, I really wish I could go pro. I would love to be a porn star. I really would. But I will never let myself do that because I don't want to be naked I don't want anyone to just actually see me naked. I don't mind if I describe me naked and doing sexual things, all under the guise, by the way, of making you laugh. I don't like when my comedy like turns people on. Like I hate when guys are like, I was rock hard watching you. I'm like, then you didn't hear laughter and sex. I'm never trying to be sexy on stage. I mean, sometimes I'm trying to look good because I want to the visuals to be like, oh, she's hot. Let me listen to her. Maybe I'm using that sometimes. And because I like to look sexy sometimes, but I never am trying to turn people on. And so when I do that, I get grossed out, or when I just make people go, ugh, or like too much, or a girl will go, my biggest fear. This was the thing that happened. I was on stage, like doing some bit that was probably too gross and too much information. And it was one of those things that I was putting out there because as a comedian, a lot of times you put something out and you think it's just you. And then you say it and people laugh and you go, not only are they going, oh my God, me too. You're going, thank God someone out. Like you up there are taking a risk of saying something that no one will laugh at. And one time no one laughed at the thing I admitted. And I go, that one was just me. Like that I knew, like in that moment I was like, that is shameful. That is not relatable. And I remember it was something about like swallowing cum and like something disgusting, right? And this woman in the front row goes, ew. And that's my biggest fear is like a cute girl, like a popular looking girl going, ew. And I just go, and I got defensive and I was like, so you've never swallowed, you've never tasted cum? Oh, really? Ew. And she goes, no, I have. And I go, well, then what are you ewing? And she goes, I just like wouldn't say it on stage into a microphone. I was like, You're right. That is who. Like, what is it about that? I loved that. I thought she was shaming me for swallowing cum. She's shaming me for saying it into a microphone. And guess what? She should. That's insane. What am I doing? And it was just one of those moments where I was like, okay, you're right. You should, Umi.
Right. Yeah, but you know what's amazing though? It's not just a one joke or two. Like your bits are like, they go on, and I mean, they are funny.
It's Homer's The Odyssey about blowjobs. Yeah, it's an epic journey.
I'm like, okay, like if someone's around me, I'm like, oh my, okay, she's finishing, it's going to be moving on to another one. And then there's a whole other riff about it, and it gets even more explicit.
I don't know why I do it. It makes me sad to even hear that people might have this experience.
No,
so
but
I honestly am going to do a disclaimer next time to just be like, just because I don't want people to have awkward things where they're like, I turned it on, my dad was next to me. I'm like, what were you thinking? I'm like, oh, like something in me goes, why are you watching that with your dad? But then I realized they just didn't know. So I honestly think it's a funny idea to put up a disclaimer of like, if your parents are in the room, either they're really cool and you trust them and you have that kind of relationship and maybe you should go to a therapist and talk about how you're too close to your parents, or get them out of the room. Now, like there should be something funny like that because people should be, I hate watching awkward things with my parents. You're so right. I love that. And I just that's a great bit. That's going to be really funny.
Okay,
I'll start out that way. I'll be like, if you're watching at home, get your mom out of the room. Like that. I could do that and talk to the camera.
Me. Say this girl I talked to, Jennifer, you got to reference it because I will be watching it and I'll be like, yeah.
I might not in the special because it would just be too much of I'm just being honest with you. If I do that, but I will always, people will talk about that moment and I will always say I came up with it with you because of your description and always credit you.
I love you for that. Because when I first even like came to know who you were, I was like so shocked because after talking about all of this stuff, like your self-esteem and your anorexia, it's interesting because you're like this hot blonde, tall blonde girl who looks like a model. You don't expect that kind of verbiage to come out of your mouth, number one. Mm-hmm. And so when I first listened to you, I was like, la, 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 let's see what she has to say on the roast. And then boom. And it was like so shocking. And so that's kind of part of it. Like, it's not what people expect. And then, then there you are, like
I didn't intend for that ever to be the thing. I definitely always loved Sarah Silverman, and she would always like, she'd say things that were like really inappropriate, but she'd be like, I didn't even know what I'm meaning. Like, I'm just like, it's just true. Like I loved about her is she was presenting true information through this lens of like, and a lot of times it was ironically racist or whatever. She was playing a character that was just like, oh, cheery. And you couldn't hate her for it. And I obviously was fascinated by that kind of character that she had developed, which is kind of her. Like she says, she is a cute, innocent, well-meaning, good person that says dark shit. And I just loved it. And so that, I think there was something in me that liked that switcheroo of like, oh, you expect this? Because that's what all comedy is like, it's surprise. It's like, oh, I didn't think of that. Or, oh, that's so, and so it adds to that surprise element. But in terms of like looking like if you'd say like, beautiful and tall, modelly, like those were all things that I just, they do ring true for me. Sometimes I do feel like, oh, wow, I'm legit so beautiful. Like I never even knew that I could be this hot or this glamorous or look like this red carpet ready. Never in a million years did I think that I could look that way. And I do. And I let it in. And I'm like, wow, you are fucking smoking. You're peaking tonight, Glaze. But that's never been, that's actually something I struggle with more than anything because I've only learned how to look hot because, and I say that with quotes if you're listening, because I've learned that I've been around long enough. I know how to do my makeup now. I know how to make my hair look good. I know spray tans elevate my hotness by 3 points. Fake eyelashes elevated another 1 point. So I can go in one spray tan and eyelashes. I can go from a 6 to a 10. Like literally that's like, I know how to dress now. So I figured out means of doing this and becoming more rich. I can stay beautiful longer because of treatments and stuff. So I have access to all this stuff. So now I can get hotter. And I also I don't know what to do with that because when you're a comedian, you're supposed to be and stay in your lane. Don't be hot. There's a lot of like, why do you need to be hot to be funny? And then there's parts of me that go, okay, people just like me because I'm the young hot girl. Like when I first got on the scene, I was like 21. Like my thing was she's young, and then that was my identity. And now it's like, oh my God, well, what if I get old and not hot? People aren't going to like me. And that's why I moved into radio, because that is not dependent on your looks. And I'm like, if I can get people to like that, then I'll have proof that it's not about my looks. And I just, I've always been obsessed with that. And now I grapple with wanting to feel sexy and dress sexy. I have all these opportunities to like really get like wear these insanely like sexy dresses that I've always like would love to dress like these celebrities, but I'm a comedian and you're not allowed to do that. And it's like, why not? Like,
right.
I don't understand. Like, I've always been scared that other comics will judge me and think that I'm not a real stand-up because I'm so sad. I'm a girl that wants to be perceived as hot. You must be so sad. And it's just who I do like to be perceived as hot. Sometimes it makes me feel good. It makes me feel powerful when I feel like maybe men want to fuck me and women want to look like me. I'm sorry. Sometimes that gives me some weird self-esteem. And guess what? I'm just being honest. I can't help that sometimes that's the way I want to do. And it's fun to dress up sometimes and wear wacky things and be sexy. And that doesn't mean that I'm not funny. It doesn't take away from that. Or maybe it does to some people, but it feels, I'm not doing it to harm anyone. I'm not trying to make girls feel insecure. That's why I don't do fake hair.
Oh, yeah.
I used to do hair extensions. And I'm someone who struggles with like thinning hair. I lost a lot of hair during COVID. And I was so obsessed with other women's hair. Like I could not stop. Every time I saw a woman's hair, I would be like, God, her hair's so full. I was taking all these vitamins, getting all these tests done. I was obsessed. And then I went and did this F-Boy Island show for HBO. And all the girls on that show wore extensions in their hair. And extensions are ubiquitous. Like everyone has them in now. If you're on TV, you have them in. And I was just like, and they were optional for me to wear them. And they looked amazing. And I was like, no. I'm not good at everything of being like, I'm not going to Alicia Keys and like stop wearing makeup. But that was a lie I didn't want to tell women. And I kept it real because I was like, because I was talking to myself. I was just trying to make something for myself so I didn't feel so bad at home looking at full hair. But it's hard when you indulge in the things that make you hotter and to not feel a little bit of guilt. That's why whenever I throw a Paris filter on an Instagram story, I go, this has a Paris filter on it. Please know that is my skin is not this smooth. Like I got to be honest about it when I can be. But I definitely use that stuff because being hot equals men want to fuck you. And if men want to fuck you, they have all the power still. And they might give you some of it because when men get horny, they get stupid and they give it away. And so I'm not trying to stay fuckable because I want men to fuck me. I just want power so that I can do good in the world. I think ultimately and I want to be safe. I want a man to love me and keep me safe when the apocalypse comes because I don't know how to work a gun and I am weaker physically. And so there's a part of me that wants protection from a man. So if that means I'm trying to be sexy to get that, I don't know. It's evolution. I'm just trying to survive out here.
Yeah, no, you're so great.
And I'm like ovulating, like my body's telling me to have a baby. So everything in me is being like, look like you're ovulating, which is all things to make you hot. So I can't help that I want dewy skin, the illusion of dewy skin. I'm trying to tell guys to put semen in me so we can procreate. I mean, I don't want that to happen, but biologically, that's what my body's screaming for me to do. So if that means putting a filter on a picture, you're damn right I'll do it.
No, right. But then you get like, I know with the filter, you're so funny with those filters and people then can't actually look at themselves without a filter because they scare themselves. Like they're so used to thinking that that's what they look like.
Because men are so deceived by filters. The guys that I've talked to that go, look at this girl. I go, honey, she looks like an anime character. There's no skin tone.
Yeah.
How do you think that's a real face? And yeah, these girls, I mean, my friend Andrew, my roommate, thought the Paris filter was just like a haze. Like he didn't know that it touches up your appearance because it's so subtle.
Yeah.
But it does make you like, I would say 20% hotter. And people think it's just like, oh no, it's just a color on it. No. That's a lie. And it's not a bad lie. It's a lie though. And how do you look in the mirror if you think that the Paris filter is how you look? It must be a struggle. And I try to keep it real. I mean, on the dating apps, I put pictures that are like the real me. Like I put pictures that are very real. I don't want to put a shot that I call like a ba-bam, where you're just like, what? Like anything that I can't actually recreate myself, I will not show up in an outfit like that. Or like, I don't put that picture on Instagram on my dating app. And then I realized I was getting no matches because guys have now adjusted for the fact that they know that you're going to oversell yourself by about 2 or 3 points, that they know to just take you from, oh, she looks like a 10. I'm going to take her down to a 7. She's probably going to show up and be a 7. So when I'm presenting as a 7, they're taking me down to a 4 and going, what? No, this is the best this bitch can do. This is her lie. And I'm going, no, I'm not lying. This is actually, this is me. This is who's going to show up. And I know you're not used to that. So I had to start putting on bams. And let me tell you, got matches instantly. I was trying to be authentic and it didn't work because people are adjusting knowing that there's going to be a lie on there. And so that's what's happening. Yeah.
That is so true. Now, it's also true that, I mean, every guy, like I know I was at a basketball game, a playoff game, these guys we were with, and, you know, these guys who are like really successful, have like a lot of money, and they're exactly like on paper what those girls want to get, you know? Yeah. These guys are on their apps. Like they have like 9 of them, like on their phone. And whenever there's an off moment or like a down moment, they're like scrolling through all of the apps in like the same like 3-minute period.
Like Bumble, Hinge, Raya, like all
Raya, all of them at the same time. And then like, and all these girls looked beautiful to me. And I'm like, what's wrong with this one, this one, this one, this one? And it becomes not even part of like, it just becomes like a pastime just to swipe. And they cut and paste the same messages. So it's not even like, there's no like, even the culture has changed so much.
It's discouraging when you see the competition and when you watch a guy friend of yours go through their app and make apps making judgments. You go, why not her? And he's like, I don't know, I just don't like her face. And you're just like, but her face is great. Like you get defensive. And then I go, wait, I make the same judgments. That's why I'll use the apps because they remind me that there's so many single men out there, and it reminds me to look through the world like, oh my God, there's so many. There's literally, I know they're single men because they're here. They're out there somewhere. Be more open-minded to them in public. But I don't often, now I've done a thing on Raya where I've changed it to only here for friends because I realize that I really don't like dates where you haven't really met yet or established that you want to be romantic and you don't even know this person and you're sitting down being like, are we going to have sex and possibly get married? Like that is too much to put on a coffee. And so now I just put them just there for friends. And if a guy is interested in me enough, he's going to go, what's his friend thing? Or like, oh yeah, I'll be friends. Like he'll still try. Like that's not going to discourage the right guy. It'll discourage the wrong guy, but it won't stop a guy that is actually like, I'll be friends with this girl. And guess what? Every single guy I've ever gone for, we've started as friends. And I'm the one that goes, okay, I'm taking this to the next level. I really need to be in control in that way. And I just found a Raya hack to make it work, which is just say you're there for friendship. So when they can't get mad at you when you don't want anything more.
Right. I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. I mean, you do find, like, do you see a lot of other celebrities on there, and do they approach you on that app?
No one wants to. I wouldn't want to touch me either. Celebrities are very private, especially like really famous ones do not want their sex lives talked about on stage. And that's what I'm known for. So that's why I think they don't want to date me, but it could be anything else. But I don't match with celebrities a lot, but there are ones out there that are very secure and could definitely handle me. And, you know, I've definitely chatted with celebs before, not actually through that app, but there's lots of men that would not mind having their penis talked about in detail on stage by me, which is everyone's biggest fear, which, by the way, is not something I require. Like, I don't want to, in my marriage, if I get married or have a relationship, I will not be someone who's like, my husband did this. At least I don't think. I really am looking for something that I like feel so protective of that I'm like Taylor Swift and Joe. Like Taylor Swift does not talk about Joe at all. It's the love of her life. She writes love songs about him, but she does not ever talk about him in interviews. They don't get photographed together. It's like something she keeps sacred where she's out there in every other way, but that's special to her. And I realized like that's what I want in a relationship. So I'm actually not looking for a man that wants to be talked about on stage. And when they are like overly cool with that, that grosses me out. So yeah. I just need to be with someone who's going to trust me when I say I won't hurt you. And actually, maybe I will, and hopefully I'll apologize, but it will not. I'm a different person than I was before when I was like, I'm going to talk about guys who have hurt me on stage and make them hurt. There's a little bit of that in me, but it's just more to like call out behavior that I'll empathize with rather than be like, I want them to be embarrassed. Like, I don't want to ever embarrass anyone ever again. But that was not always the way it was. And I don't think it was even Taylor Swift, I think, wrote songs about guys and got this kind of reputation of being like, all she does is break guys' hearts or get her heart broken because she's too clingy. And then she writes a sad song and then she's the victim and wham, wham. It's like, first of all, every fucking love song, men write love songs. Bob Dylan is writing, like, we don't give him shit about it. So it's a double standard thing that sucks. But I don't even think maybe she would write the same kinds of lyrics because she had more venom back then than she does now because she like likes herself. So it's interesting to see how you can evolve as an artist. And I'm not as scared as I thought I would be at being happy. I don't think comedy is dependent on not being depressed and hating yourself. Like, a lot of comedians don't want to go to therapy or get on Zoloft because they think it'll zap that part of themselves. But maybe I'm not as like equipped to do a roast, but I don't even think that's true. I think I'm even more equipped because I'm going to enter some kind of like truth that is also like, I'll transcend I'll find something else. I'll find another way to create that. I'll find a way. Like if me living a life that is just trying to put good out in the world does not sync up with doing comedy anymore, then I'll transition to something else. I just, I'm not like tethered to being an insult comic, but it is kind of ironic that I tell roast jokes and I'm also like, I'm vegan and I just want everyone to be happy. And I'm like telling Alec Baldwin he was a bad father and what Kevin Pollak should kill himself. I mean, like I said, one of the jokes I loved.
I saw that.
Kevin Pollak, I go, you do a great Robin Williams impression. I just wish you'd finish it, which is just a great joke. It's just funny the way the construct of the joke, but also I don't want Kevin Pollak to kill himself. And Robin Williams would probably laugh at that joke. And Robin Williams didn't even kill himself. He had Lewy body dysmorphia, which is a form of Parkinson's that literally forces your brain to turn against itself. Anyone that kills himself, by the way, has some brain anomaly going on that could explain why they killed themselves. It's a disease. It's not like they did it. Their brain did it, a thing in their so like me making I'm not making fun of I can still get away with that. And as someone who's thought about killing myself a lot, I feel like I'm in the club. Like I can joke about this, which I don't even like that either. I don't like people to go, I can joke about that because I've done that, because there's a lot of things I want to talk about that I don't have any experience with. And I still feel like I should have an opinion about them. Yet I should acknowledge the fact that no, I as someone who has never been raped, it is a little tricky for me to do a rape joke. And I'll hopefully address that if I try to tackle that subject.
Before, I mean, this, not to segue, but from the rape comment, but do people get paid to go on the roast? Because like, why else would you put yourself in that circumstance? Is it just, are they getting paid a shit ton of money? But besides the PR,
yeah. Well, it's a PR mega. I mean, they get that is the biggest thing. As a comedian, it's the biggest thing you can do. So to me, it's like the Olympics. Yeah, for me, yes. For the celebrity, they do it for the publicity, I think mainly. But Alec Baldwin donated his check. I think he got like $100,000 or maybe more. I don't know. But he donated everything. But I think they get paid a pretty penny. But I think it's probably to make fun of yourself and get ahead of what everyone's already saying. Mm-hmm. Like Justin Bieber, I think it was a great PR move because it made him laugh at himself and it just endears you. So I think Lindsay Lohan should do it.
Oh my God.
I think she's the next one. I think she could really laugh at herself and be great.
Is she going to be the next one? I have a whole laundry list.
I've always said that to Comedy Central. I'm like, get Lindsay Lohan, please. It would be or Brittany, maybe when she's years out would be a fun one when she's able to talk about it in an honest way and is past it. Yeah. Would be a good one because you want to give these people that have been voiceless like the ability to seeing someone laugh at the thing we've all been saying about behind their backs is I think it gives you something as a person that might be someone that like it takes something from you. If you're able to make fun of yourself before others, like it takes the power away. So I think it's actually a really cool move for celebrities to do. Caitlyn Jenner showing up to that as someone who transitioned, who is just not only being from the Kardashian family, but also transgendered and Republican. Her to show up for that was definitely a PR move because she's a Kardashian. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
they'll do anything.
course.
But no, but it was extremely brave. I thought that was a really cool move, just to be able to laugh and take those jokes and have nothing really off the table except the car accident. Which more power to you. Have boundaries. Right. I love it. But for her to go there and laugh about like, trans jokes and stuff was, I think I always will really respect her for doing that.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I also think that there's not very many comedians. They use the same people because of the fact that they're so good. Like it's you, Jeffrey Ross. I mean, it takes
a while to get good. So they like to keep you in the stock because you get better every year. And it's something that, thank God, Comedy Central has had has been able to let you learn, like they didn't just see you the first time and go, oh, they know that you can grow. And I've really grown into that. And and now I have a system down for when I do it. It's like, I have a plan. It's like, but it really is the Olympics. I mean, it destroys my body and my mind. And afterwards I need rehab. I mean, it's the toughest thing that I've done in the biz for sure. It's always like pregnancy. I always tell my friends, when I'm going through it, I go, I am never doing this again. I am never doing this again. Look at me right now. I can't do this anymore. I don't even know what jokes I'm going to do. And then I have the baby and I'm like, I can't wait to do it again. And my friends are like, wait, what? It's like
pregnancy. It's 100%. It's like pregnancy.
Yeah.
So you want to tell us where we can find you in terms of your tour and everything else about you. And then you have to promise we have to come back and do part 2. Because like I said, I can't wait to hear the questions you had prepared that you didn't get to. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. It happens a lot. I should have just warned you. Don't even try. No one warned me.
No, I'm so sorry. I gotta put more disclaimers. I will be on tour all over the place. I don't even know where I'm going because it's too much for me to look at. I literally know the first date, and I can only live day by day because it's so daunting. But I'm going on tour. It's called One Night with Nikki was the name of the tour because I just want it to be. It's just going to be me telling stories that I haven't told anywhere else and putting together my next hour of material, which is already cranking along. I'm very excited about it, but it's going to be the most fun and ambitious show I've ever put on. And it's my first full theater tour because my first one got interrupted by COVID. And you can get details at nikkiglaser.com/tour. And then I have a daily podcast that I'll be doing for the rest of my life, hopefully. And it is it's morning radio style. You can come in whenever you want, join the show. You don't need to go back through old ones if you're a weird completionist and you're like, I can't start because there's been hundreds of them. Just jump in whenever. You'll catch up. You'll get all the inside jokes. It's called the Nikki Glaser Podcast, and it's every day, Monday through Thursday. And follow me on Instagram, Nikki Glaser, and I think that's it for now. And F-Boy Island is on HBO. It's a hilarious reality dating show that I hosted in the Cayman Islands a few months ago and filmed. And as someone who loves the Bachelor franchise and Love is Blind and any really dating reality show of that genre, this one is awesome. And it's just 24 guys show up on an island and 12 of them are there to they don't care about women. They just use them. They're F-boys and the other guys are there for the right reasons. And then 3 girls are looking for love, and it all is crazy. And there's lots of lies and deception, and I get deceived. I mean, it was wild. I can't wait for people to see it because I've been dying to talk about it forever. It's my favorite show that I got to host. It's amazing.
Wow, I can't wait to see it. It sounds good.
F-Boy Island.
F-Boy Island, got it.
End of July.
End of July. It's coming up. Okay.
Yeah, coming. Oh my God, we're in July. Yes,
we are in July. And are you coming to LA anytime soon so we can do this in person for part 2?
Possibly. That would be good. We'll do that. We'll work that around. I always go to LA based on whenever they need me. I always try to, if enough shows are paying for my way there and putting me up in hotels, I'll be like, okay, I'll do these 3 together and then I'll stay out there and I'll definitely hit you up during that time so I can come out and be in person. It'd be so fun.
No, I love that. You're just amazing. You're
likewise,
just
girl.
No, seriously, you're really one of my favorites, and you're just hilarious. You're even hilarious just talking. You're just a hilarious person, and you're honest and so earnest and so real, which is such a breath of fresh air. So keep on doing that because it's what makes you really like lovable and great, really.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And it takes one to know one. So I coming from you, it means a lot. So thank you.
Habits and hustle, time to get it rolling. Stay up on the grind, don't stop, keep it going. Habits and hustle, from nothing into something. All out, hosted by Jennifer Cohen. Visionaries, tune in, you can get to know them. Be inspired, this is your moment. Excuses, we ain't having that. The Habits and Hustle podcast, powered by Habit Nest.